Chapter 334. Shi Qianghua did not expect that she would come to this place. She could not enter heaven's way. Even if she was a crucible transformation cultivator from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, she could not enter heaven's way. Every time the heaven's way opened, it required a lot of precious materials. If she wanted to enter heaven's way, she would have to wait for another 2 years. After asking around, Shi Qianghua came to know that ever since the 9-colored mirage tree was dug out by Ningcheng, the requirements to enter heaven's way had become stricter and stricter. Originally, cultivators in the soul sculpting realm and above were eligible to enter, but now that they had yet to reach the crucible transformation realm, they were not allowed to waste the quota to enter heaven's way. Moreover, even if they reached the crucible transformation realm, they would still have to enter together. Even if Shi Qianghua was powerful, she would not be able to fight off the people from the Heaven Alliance and rush into heaven's way. 2 years later, even her bones would not be there, so how could she enter heaven's way? In desperation, Shi Qianghua once again returned to the immortal cave where she and Ningcheng lived. She did not have any friends, but if she had to say that there was a person she was familiar with, then it would undoubtedly be Ningcheng. The immortal cave was still concealed by Ningcheng, so after Shi Qianghua entered, she came to know that Ningcheng had cultivated in this place for a period of time. After staying here for a few days, she felt that Ningcheng would not come back. Shi Qianghua decided to find Ningcheng first. A year's time was very short. She wanted to return to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, as well as the things that Ningcheng had given her to Ningcheng. Even if she died, she would not leave these things to Suanjin. Shi Qianghua came to an ordinary city. She did not need to inquire about it, as she came to know that the Grand Peace City was about to auction off the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored mirage tree branch. These two things belonged to Ningcheng and were unexpectedly being sold in the Grand Peace City. Although she did not spend much time with Ningcheng, she knew that Ningcheng would not be so reckless as to take out these two things for sale. At this moment she, along with the other large and small academies, anxiously rushed towards the Grand Peace City. Her purpose was the same as those academies, that is, she wanted to know where these things from the Profound Light auction came from. At this time, what she was most worried about was that these things were not Ningcheng's. If Ningcheng had not obtained them from the Profound Light Chamber, then Ningcheng would definitely be in danger. Shi Qianghua controlled the flight-type magical weapon to fly all the way. But before she could reach the Grand Peace City, she felt her life essence loosen up. Shi Qianghua's heart felt as if the feeling of suppression had weakened at this moment. Shi Qianghua's complexion immediately changed. She immediately thought that Suanjin had swallowed the life essence ahead of time. If Suanjin wanted to devour the life essence now, then she would have no choice but to return to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. As such, she would not even be able to resist. However, Shi Qianghua soon became aware that something was wrong. Not only was she not affected by the strong call and the restraint of her spiritual soul, instead she felt even more relaxed. Did someone take away her suppressed primordial spirit? Shi Qianghua quickly reacted. She believed that it was definitely not done by Suanjin. If it was Suanjin, she would have already become a puppet controlled by someone. Would someone save her? She didn't have any friends at all, and even if she had a friend, who could save her suppressed primordial spirit from Suanjin's hands? If there was someone who would do such a thing, then it would definitely be Ningcheng. But Ningcheng's cultivation? No, that's not right. Shi Qianghua immediately understood the reason. Both the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored mirage tree belonged to Ningcheng, but these two things were urgently needed by the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Suanjin. If Ningcheng took out these two things and put them up for auction, then Suanjin would definitely go and buy them. Since Suanjin wanted to go to the Grand Peace City to buy these two things, then she would definitely have to leave the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Once Suanjin left the Severing Emotions Dao sect, then wouldn't Ningcheng have the opportunity to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect to rescue her suppressed primordial spirit? She immediately recalled Ningcheng's words. He had said that he wanted to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Not good. Ningcheng had gone to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Moreover, Ningcheng had also obtained her suppressed primordial spirit. After understanding this point, Shi Qianghua became even more anxious. Even if Suanjin was not in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ningcheng would not be able to take away her primordial spirit. After understanding this point, Shi Qianghua's heart suddenly clenched. She suddenly turned in a different direction and madly flew towards the Severing Emotions Dao sect. She had given her body to Ningcheng, although she did not have any regrets, but from the bottom of her heart, she did not really love Ningcheng. That was because she knew that she would not live for long and wanted to ask Ningcheng for something. She had given her body to Ningcheng, saving Ningcheng's life. It was something that was voluntary. As such, there was no need for her to hate Ningcheng. However, she had never thought that Ningcheng would unexpectedly treat her in such a way, even though she could not blame him. Ningcheng had quietly gone to the Severing Emotions Dao sect to steal her suppressed primordial spirit. It was obvious that he did not want her to know about it. If Ningcheng had fallen, then she would have already entered the Heaven's Way. As such, she would not have known about it. If Ningcheng had not fallen, then Ningcheng would have definitely preserved her primordial spirit and would have returned it to her in the future, to avoid being abused and humiliated by Suanjin. At this moment, Shi Qianghua's heart felt as if it was being grasped by a hand, causing her to have difficulty breathing. She knew that Ningcheng felt guilty towards her, but she had already forgiven him. Even so, Ningcheng, for her, still disregarded life and death, and went to the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Shi Qianghua, who had always been alone at this moment, suddenly had a person's shadow appear in her heart. That shadow turned from vague to clear, and finally took shape in her heart. Perhaps she did not realize that before she knew that Ningcheng had gone to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ningcheng's shadow had already appeared in her heart. Otherwise, she would not have unconsciously returned to the immortal cave from before. Ningcheng had just rushed out of the Severing Emotions peak, when several sword lights descended. There were several cultivators in the soul-sculpting realm, and one of them was a cultivator in the sea-opening realm. Ningcheng's heart sank. He had rushed out of the Severing Emotions peak in just a few breaths of time. Yet the Severing Emotions Dao sect unexpectedly reacted so quickly. If another crucible transformation cultivator came, then he would not have been able to escape today. At this moment, how could Ningcheng still care about hiding his means? A blue shadow shot out, while at the same time he crazily stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Boom boom boom. Several powerful true essence sword lights bombarded Ningcheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow, causing the everlasting Blue Thunder City to instantly dim down. Ningcheng, who was still in the air, was hit by a huge backlash, causing him to spit out a mouthful of blood, before directly falling down from the sky. Kacha, several sounds rang out, as the bones in Ningcheng's body broke. Even if Ningcheng had achieved minor success in body forging, falling from such a high place would still result in serious injuries. Drinking down the mouthful of essence birthing bamboo pith, Ningcheng once again forcibly stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. As long as he could escape from the Severing Emotions Dao sect's mountain protecting grand array, then he would have a way out. Ningcheng had just left the place, when a few terrifying explosions erupted at the place where he had just fallen a moment ago. If Ningcheng was even half a breath late, then he would have already turned into slag. With the mountain protecting grand array in sight, Ningcheng crazily stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, while simultaneously sending out several array flags. Boom 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 boom. The rank 6 explosion array formations exploded, rolling up a cloud of dust. The Severing Emotions Dao sect's mountain protecting grand array, under the continuous explosions of the rank 6 explosion array formations, could only shake uncontrollably. However, these explosion array formations still could not tear apart the mountain protecting grand array. Ningcheng already knew that the explosion array formations would not be able to tear apart the mountain protecting grand array in one go. But if the explosion array formations continuously exploded, then this rank 9 mountain protecting grand array would definitely reveal a flaw, allowing him to escape in the shortest possible time. Not waiting for Ningcheng to continue to attack the mountain protecting grand array, a dazzling red light immediately rumbled over. This red light directly locked down the space around Ningcheng. Ningcheng had no other choice but to resist this red light head-on. This was definitely a late-stage sea-opening realm cultivator, Although the Severing Emotions Dao sect had very few crucible transformation cultivators, but there were still a lot of sea opening realm cultivators. Moreover, Ningcheng also knew that these cultivators would only grow more and more. If he could not escape in a few breaths, then he would never be able to escape again. Unfortunately, the grade of the transmission array talisman that he had refined was too low. As such, it was unable to penetrate the Severing Emotions Dao sect's mountain protecting grand array. Otherwise he would have already escaped. Although the plan was good, but his strength was still slightly lacking. Ningcheng did not have enough time to sigh, as he once again sent out the everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow. The dazzling red light exploded on the everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow, causing Ningcheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow to instantly dim down. Ningcheng was once again sent flying by a formidable force, causing him to spurt out a mouthful of blood, while his originally broken bones once again gave out a catch-a sound. Ningcheng looked at the increasing number of figures, and knew that his idea of rushing out of the mountain-protecting grand array was already an illusion. He did not hesitate to take out the talisman that he had obtained from the bottom of the Blood River Mountains, and firmly pinched it. At this time, other than entering the bottom of the Blood River Mountains, there was no other way for him to escape. Ningcheng soon became dumbfounded. With his current cultivation, he unexpectedly was not able to crush this talisman. Ningcheng cursed the skeleton in his heart. He knew that he had been cheated. That skeleton was afraid that he would use this talisman to escape, so if his cultivation did not reach a certain level, he would not be able to crush this talisman. It must be that the skeleton thought that if his cultivation did not reach a certain level, then he would not be able to obtain the heavenly cusp flower and the geocentric Ninine essence. He finally understood the skeleton's words. Your current cultivation is still low, and I do not intend to ask for your help for now. This meant that if his cultivation did not reach a certain level, then he would not be able to use this talisman. He had always regarded this talisman as a life-saving magical weapon. Knowing that he could not escape, Ningcheng no longer thought about how to break open the mountain-protecting grand array. In here, killing one was more than enough, killing two was more than enough. When the shadow of the everlasting Blue Thunder City was brought out by Ningcheng, Ningcheng's cosmic true devil axe immediately brought out an axe line. In the midst of these axe lines filled with a sharp killing intent, there were also axe-killing vortexes and axe traces filled with dense axe intent. At this time, Ningcheng was just like a crazy killing god. If you want to kill him, then you will have to pay for it with your life. Ningcheng, who did not continue to escape, was absolutely terrifying. Under the protection of the everlasting Blue Thunder City, Ningcheng's axe line and the axe-killing vortexes brought out a rain of blood. Not to mention soul essence cultivators, even if it was a soul-sculpting cultivator, under Ningcheng's angry axe, they would also suffer heavy casualties. Ningcheng himself was constantly bombarded by a variety of magical weapons. In just a short time, his entire body was dyed red with blood, even his bones could be seen. Every time he was sent flying, he would rush up again and again. But every time he rushed up, a few people would lose their lives. The defensive power of the everlasting Blue Thunder City was simply too powerful. Even if Ningcheng brought out a shadow, even if it was a sea-opening realm cultivator, they would not be able to break through this kind of terrifying defensive magical weapon. Chapter 335. If not for the everlasting Blue Thunder Fort, Ningcheng might have died more than 100 times over. However, even if he had the everlasting Blue Thunder City, Ningcheng would not be able to withstand the bombardment from so many soul essence cultivators and soul sculpting cultivators. Not to mention that there was also a sea-opening realm cultivator. If it was a one-on-one fight, then a sea-opening realm cultivator could easily kill Ningcheng. When Shi Qianghua rushed into the Severing Emotions Dao sect, the other two crucible transformation cultivators of the Severing Emotions Dao sect also arrived. Ningcheng's everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow exploded into nothingness, while Ningcheng, covered in blood, was sent flying back. But at the scene of the battle, there were bloodstains everywhere, as the fallen disciples of the Severing Emotions Dao sect were strewn all over the place. Shi Qianghua panicked, as she rushed towards Ningcheng and held him in her hands, while simultaneously using the jade card to open the array formation. Even if Shi Qianghua was a person from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, the two Crucible Transformation elders who had just arrived did not hesitate to make their move. Ningcheng had killed many of the outstanding disciples of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Yet Shi Qianghua unexpectedly wanted to take Ningcheng away. How could this be? Bang bang. A white light and a black light exploded on Shi Qianghua's back. Shi Qianghua crazily spurted out a mouthful of blood as she rushed out of the already opened entrance of the array formation, while Ningcheng, who was still in her hands, had already fainted. Not waiting for Shi Qianghua to escape, the two Crucible Transformation cultivators who had sneak attacked Shi Qianghua immediately rushed out, and once again attacked Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua was held back, but in just a short period of time, she was completely surrounded by the cultivators from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Shi Qianghua and Ningcheng were different. Ningcheng had the personality of someone who wanted to kill him, so he would definitely kill them. When he was trapped in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he had no choice but to kill them without showing even half a shred of mercy. However, Shi Qianghua did not have the heart to kill like this. The matter of her being suppressed by Su Anjin was not known to others. Relatively speaking, she and the cultivators of the Severing Emotions Dao sect still had the friendship of fellow disciples from the same sect. Not to mention that among the cultivators who had trapped Shi Qianghua, there were a few whose cultivation was not worse than Shi Qianghua's. Even if Shi Qianghua was more powerful than these cultivators, with her holding on to Ningcheng, her strength would also be greatly reduced. What's more, she had to be lenient in all aspects. In less than the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, Shi Qianghua's hair was already disheveled, while her snow-white robes had already been dyed red. At this time, even if she wanted to leave, she would not be able to do so. Ningcheng was suddenly awoken by a mouthful of hot blood. He saw Shi Qianghua being held in the middle while he was trapped in the middle, and immediately understood what was going on. Fortunately, they were now out of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. At this time, they had to leave. Otherwise, once Su Anjin came back, even if they died, they would not be able to choose a good way to die. Ningcheng struggled to take out a stack of talismans and handed it to Shi Qianghua. Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua, hold me tight and activate it from top to bottom. Just speaking a single sentence, Ningcheng once again fainted. His injuries were much more serious than he had imagined. Ningcheng was afraid that when Shi Qianghua used the transmission array talisman, she would accidentally throw herself out. As such, he deliberately reminded Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua was already an arrow at the end of its flight. Even if she wanted to kill her, it would be too late. At this time, when Ningcheng took out a stack of talismans, she did not think much about it, and immediately listened to Ningcheng's words, as she tightly held onto Ningcheng, while simultaneously activating the first talisman. With a flash of white light, the next moment she and Ningcheng disappeared from the encirclement of the crowd. Everyone, do not panic. This is a transmission array talisman, not an escape talisman. A few Crucible Transformation elders will come with me to chase after them. The rest of you will protect the academy, and immediately send a flying sword message to the academy master about what happened inside the academy. A Crucible Transformation cultivator finished speaking, and immediately chased after the source of the spatial fluctuations. If not for Ningcheng's transmission array talisman, even if Shi Qianghua managed to escape from the encirclement, she would not be able to escape. Now that Ningcheng was using one escape talisman after another, all she had to do was to activate the talisman. The people chasing after Shi Qianghua did not think that Shi Qianghua would use one transmission array talisman after another. If there were only one or two, then with Shi Qianghua's current state, it would be very easy for her to catch up. However, the other party was using one transmission array talisman after another. How could they chase after her? At the same time, the Crucible Transformation elders of the Severing Emotions Dao sect, who could have returned to the academy a long time ago, were currently engaged in a battle with a large number of Crucible Transformation cultivators. With dozens of Crucible Transformation cultivators fighting, it almost turned the surrounding area within a radius of 10,000 miles into fine powder. What was different from the battle with the Severing Emotions Dao sect was that in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, There were many Severing Emotions Dao sect's disciples surrounding Ningcheng. But here, there were many Crucible Transformation cultivators surrounding the people from the Severing Emotions Dao sect. At the beginning of the battle, the floating snow palace was the main force. After all, the Severing Emotions Dao sect possessed the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored mirage tree, which was something that everyone had guessed. With the various major academies harboring ulterior motives, and each of them preserving their own strength, the Severing Emotions Dao sect, under the strong leadership of Su Anjin, unexpectedly did not fall into a disadvantageous position. However, as the Crucible Transformation cultivators continued to be killed, the Crucible Transformation cultivators of the major academies also began to go all out. Some of the academies' thoughts had already shifted from snatching the geocentric 9 essence, and began to think of using this opportunity to completely destroy the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Both sides fought with a true fire, and for a moment the winds and clouds changed. A large part of the sky was shaken by the explosions of true essence and the bombardment of berserk magical weapons. This was the largest clash between Crucible Transformation cultivators in the Tian continent in hundreds of years. If not for the Severing Emotions Dao sect's Taoist elder Taoist Su Anjin activating her secret technique, killing several Crucible Transformation cultivators, and rushing out of the encirclement, the Severing Emotions Dao sect might have been completely annihilated in this battle. This battle caused the sun and moon to lose their luster, causing the entire Tian continent to shake. Of the 12 Crucible Transformation cultivators from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, 9 of them perished. Of the remaining 3 people, Headmaster Shi Henyan was seriously injured, while Taoist elder Taoist Su Anjin was even more severely injured, to the point that her foundation was completely damaged. As such, there was little hope for her to recover. Of the Crucible Transformation cultivators who had followed the Severing Emotions Dao sect to the Grand Peace City, other than Su Yingde, who was under the protection of Su Anjin, the rest had all perished. The only one who suffered minor injuries was a Crucible Transformation elder. Of the 9 Crucible Transformation elders from the Floating Snow Palace, including the 4 Palace Masters, 3 of them perished, while one of them only had his life essence remaining. Among the 3 who perished, one of them was the Palace Master of the Floating Snow Palace. The Red Sun Weapon Sect, the Yin Yang Dao sect, the Star Gathering Mansion, and the Battle Devil Hall each lost a Crucible Transformation cultivator. The Red Star Sword faction, in order to show that they did not have any connection with the Severing Emotions Dao sect, attacked the Severing Emotions Dao sect second only to the Floating Snow Palace, resulting in the death of 2 Crucible Transformation cultivators. In this battle, a total of 18 Crucible Transformation cultivators from the entire Tian continent had perished, while the corporeal bodies of several Crucible Transformation cultivators had shattered, leaving only their life essence. During the course of the battle, everyone had gone berserk, but after the battle, they calmed down. Everyone started to think about some of the connections between the outbreak of the battle. Because of this battle, not only the academies of the entire Tian continent were shaken, even the higher-ups of the Heaven Alliance were shaken out of their mountains. However, no one knew whether the Severing Emotions Dao sect really had the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored mirage tree, because the Severing Emotions Dao sect had immediately sealed their mountain gates the moment they returned to the academy. Sealing their mountain gates meant that in the future in the Tian continent, they would lose any news about the Severing Emotions Dao sect. No one knew when the Severing Emotions Dao sect would come out again. Severing Emotions Dao sect, Su Anjin, who originally still had the appearance of a young girl, at this moment looked a lot older. Inside the huge discussion hall, at this moment there were only 4 Crucible Transformation cultivators, while the rest were cultivators in the Sea Opening Realm. It could be said that in this battle, the Severing Emotions Dao sect had not only suffered heavy losses, it had almost reached the point where it was completely destroyed. By Su Anjin's side, there was a sign with a few words written on it: "Do not provoke this young master." Moreover, this sign was taken from the place where Su Anjin had suppressed her soul essence. From this, it could be seen that the person who left behind this sign was the same person who had sneak attacked the Severing Emotions Dao sect, and was also the one who had taken away the 9 soul lamps. Next to this sign was a huge crystal ball, Inside the crystal ball was a clear image. It was none other than Ning Cheng's image. Who is this person? Su Anjin's voice turned even more hoarse, with a trace of insufficient true essence. I have seen Ning Cheng before. This person should not be Ning Cheng. Moreover, he can instantly kill a soul essence cultivator, which is almost equivalent to an intermediate stage soul sculpting cultivator. Even if Ning Cheng is more powerful, it is impossible for him to be this powerful. A crucible transformation female cultivator spoke in a sinking voice. Su Anjin did not directly answer the words of this crucible transformation female cultivator, but rather looked at Su Yingde sitting beside her and spoke. Yingde, you and Ning Cheng are more familiar with each other. Do you think it is him? Su Yingde stared at the image on the crystal ball for a long time, before she spoke. Grandmother, I am not sure. However, the possibility of it being Ning Cheng is very high. First, Ning Cheng has the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. As such, only he can enter that place. At the same time, he is also very proficient in array formations. Initially, when we were looking for the geocentric 9 essence, it was also because he was proficient in array formations. Moreover, his strength is far beyond those in the same realm. Moreover, it is not unusual for his appearance to change after advancing to the soul essence realm. Since that is the case, then why do you still say that you are not sure? Su Anjin's tone turned a bit cold. Su Yingde shuddered before she bowed and spoke. I have been together with Ning Cheng for a long time. As such, I am very familiar with Ning Cheng's character. He is not a bloodthirsty person. Even if Yin Kongchan and I schemed against him, he still saved the two of us in the end. In the Forsaken Land, when he left the Yaluan city, he could have easily killed the Yaluan city's city master, and even destroyed the city, but he did not kill a single person, not even Princess Man, who wanted to kill him. Moreover, I fell in love with him, and he also has my emotion-severing sword on him. Even if he were to live, he would not be able to have his current achievements. Besides, a person who was burned by the flames of lust, I also think that he would not be able to live. I think that someone might have obtained something from him, so... What if he did not fall in love with you, and there was a woman who used her pure Yin body to save him? Su Anjin suddenly spoke. Su Yingde's complexion immediately changed. If Ning Cheng did not fall in love with her, then she would only be trapped in her own cocoon, and her future fate could be imagined. Su Anjin no longer paid any attention to Su Yingde, as she glanced at the people in the main hall and spoke. This person should most likely be Ning Cheng. Elder Taoist, if this person really is Ning Cheng, then it would not be difficult to explain. It's just that I do not understand. Why would my Severing Emotions Dao sect Shi Qionghua turn against the sect for an enemy of the Severing Emotions Dao sect? The Crucible Transformation Elder, who had just said that it was unlikely that this person was Ning Cheng, once again stood up and spoke. Su Anjin nodded to this Crucible Transformation Elder and spoke. In the future, I will personally capture Ning Cheng and Shi Qionghua, and then kneel here to interrogate them. Who knows if that slut Shi Qionghua would shamelessly dual cultivate with Ning Cheng or not? Su Anjin's tone suddenly changed, and became even more severe as she spoke. Now that my Severing Emotions Dao sect's vitality has been greatly damaged, we can only choose to seal off our mountains. This is a disgrace to my Severing Emotions Dao sect. From today onwards, I will impart cultivation methods to the realms above the Crucible Transformation realm. The moment my Severing Emotions Dao sect reopens its mountain gates, it will be the time for us to collect our debts. Chapter 336. Her life essence had been suppressed for many years, causing her to feel helpless. But Ning Cheng, in just a few months, managed to retrieve her suppressed life essence and deliver it into her hands. Not only that, he even brought the geocentric 9 essence over. Shi Qionghua immediately felt the heat coming from Ning Cheng. She knew what Ning Cheng wanted to do, but she did not move. Instead, she clung on to Ning Cheng even more tightly, as she unexpectedly had some expectations. He had lured many factions to compete for the geocentric 9 essence. If his plan succeeded, then at this moment he would become a public enemy. Even the Rainbow Fall Sword sect would not be able to go back. Ning Cheng swallowed a few pills, before taking out a few more pills, and putting them into Shi Qionghua's mouth. After his true essence recovered a bit, he quickly picked up Shi Qianghua and stimulated the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, instantly leaving this place. Fortunately, no one had passed by here, and fortunately there were no monstrous beasts, otherwise he and Shi Qianghua would have been finished. However, Ningqing did not understand why the people from the Severing Emotions Dao sect did not chase after them. Although he had a lot of good things, but he only had a few high-level healing pills. In order to let his injuries recover as soon as possible, after settling Shi Qianghua down, Ningqing operated his cultivation method, and automatically entered into the state of cultivation of the mysterious yellow formless. Ningqing felt a bit awkward under Shi Qianghua's gaze. He took out a crystal ball and spoke, "Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua. This is what I got from Su Anjin. You can fuse with it. From now on you will no longer be under the control of this old granny." Shi Qianghua was not good at expressing her emotions. She just quietly looked at Ningqing, and after a while, spoke in a soft voice, "I am a dying person. Why did you take such a big risk to go to the Severing Emotions Dao sect? Moreover, you did not even tell me." When Ningqing woke up, he smelled a pungent smell of blood. There was a familiar softness in his arms, causing Ningqing to immediately remember the things that had happened before. Ningqing calmed down. This place turned out to be an open field, and was not far from the location of the last transmission array. It was clear that after Shi Qianghua brought him here, she could no longer hold on and fainted. However, Ningqing quickly sobered up. Shi Qianghua's body obviously had not recovered, he could feel it. The cyan-robed Grand Palace Master swept his gaze over the rest of the people before continuing. "Now we will continue on to the Grand Peace City to participate in the auction. In any case, we must obtain the geocentric 9 essence. Also, the person who schemed against this war was definitely not simple. Although our fluttering snow palace regards this person as a great enemy, we absolutely cannot beat the grass and alert the snake when we are not confident. If you want to deal with this kind of people, then you must kill them in one shot. Otherwise there will be no end of trouble in the future. The Severing Emotions Dao sect is an example." Ningqing immediately recovered, as he hugged Shi Qianghua even tighter. At this time his injuries were completely healed, coupled with the fact that Shi Qianghua also did not hold anything back towards him. Shi Qianghua's soft and plump body made the hot-blooded Ningqing once again become restless. This time, there was no burning desire, nor was there any yang-qi poison. But Ningqing could not help it. He did not think that after the two of them had a substantial relationship, Shi Qianghua would have to marry him. On Earth, even if there was a child, the woman would still leave if she wanted to, not to mention having a substantial relationship. What's more, there were still some doubts about the substantial relationship between the two of them. The cyan-robed Grand Palace Master still spoke out calmly. "From the moment I saw Su Anjin, I knew that this matter was a trap set up by someone else. However, I still have to jump into this trap." The Grand Palace Master's expression remained indifferent. This time, the fluttering Snow Palace, with the help of the other academies, managed to inflict heavy losses on the Severing Emotions Dao sect, which was much more powerful compared to the fluttering Snow Palace. However, because the fluttering Snow Palace lost 3 crucible transformation cultivators, it cast a shadow over this happy occasion. Ningqing. A cry emerged from the bottom of Shi Qianghua's heart, with a hint of whisper and lightness. She gently leaned against Ningqing's body. She was a few years older than Ningqing, and her cultivation was also far superior to Ningqing. But at this time, in her heart, Ningqing was her world. She reached out and took the crystal ball that Ningqing gave her, while her other hand slowly caressed Ningqing's face. Her eyes turned slightly red as she spoke. "Don't call me senior apprentice, sister, just call me Qianghua." A sweet fragrance and softness entered his arms. Even if Ningqing's injuries had not yet recovered, he still closed his eyes. Although he and Shi Qianghua had skin to skin before, it was the first time that he knew that Shi Qianghua's body was so soft. Or rather, the last time he was together with Shi Qianghua, he simply did not think about anything else. The crystal ball was in Shi Qianghua's hands, while the trace of life essence overflowed, and a dozen drops of geocentric 9 essence merged into Shi Qianghua's body. Qianghua. Ningqing subconsciously pulled Shi Qianghua's hand. Shi Qianghua did not have the strength of a crucible transformation cultivator, and was easily pulled over by Ningcheng. Big sister, I think we might have fallen into a trap this time. If I have not guessed wrongly, then the Severing Emotions Dao sect should not have obtained Ningcheng's things. Sang Jieju broke the silence and spoke. Ningcheng opened his mouth, but did not know how to answer Shi Qianghua. In his heart, Shi Qianghua was his woman. As such, it was only right and proper for him to help his woman get back her things. However, as for what other people were thinking in their hearts, he simply did not know. Senior apprentice Sister Qianghua, your injuries? Ningcheng asked in a pleasantly surprised voice. So this time we must have fallen into a trap. Although my floating snow palace lost 3 crucible transformation cultivators, but this person's scheme can be considered as helping my floating snow palace through a crisis. When Ningcheng opened his eyes again, he found that Shi Qianghua was sitting opposite him, staring at him intently. Shi Qianghua had already changed her robes, and apart from her slightly pale complexion, one could not see any signs of serious injuries. This trace of suppressed life essence was something that Ningcheng had exchanged for with his life. Without Ningcheng, even if she died, it would have been a miserable death. With her life essence suppressed by Su Anjin, she would not have even had the opportunity to end her own life. Shi Qianghua looked at the crystal ball in Ningcheng's hands, as a warm and comfortable feeling welled up in her heart. If she had obtained this crystal ball before, it would have been the most exciting thing in her life. But now, although she was excited, she also felt some fear in her heart. Ningcheng had almost fallen in the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Floating Snow Palace. You should heal your injuries first. Once your injuries are healed, the first thing you need to do is to fuse with your life essence. And then I have something to tell you. Ningcheng held Shi Qianghua's shoulder. The same scene was also happening in the other major academies, although the major academies were aware that they had fallen into a trap. But apart from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, no one could be sure who had plotted against them. At this time, the major academies acted as if nothing had happened, as they once again gathered in the Grand Peace City, in order to compete for the geocentric 9 essence and the 9-colored bamboo tree. Secondly, our strength is not as good as the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Now that we have the help of other academies, we can take advantage of this opportunity to deal a heavy blow to the Severing Emotions Dao sect, which would avoid a disaster for the Floating Snow Palace in the future. Moreover, we can also rope in the other academies, so that we can share a common enemy. 2 hours later, the exhausted Ningcheng dug out an immortal cave in a very secluded valley, and arranged several concealment array formations to completely conceal the immortal cave. Only then did he bring Shi Qianghua into the immortal cave to heal. He first helped Shi Qianghua clean the bloodstains on her body, and then took out the essence-birthing bamboo pith, and poured it into Shi Qianghua's mouth. After he sobered up a bit, he saw that the person in his bosom really was Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua was completely unconscious. Moreover, her injuries were even more serious than his. If that's the case, then we really have to thank this person. A crucible transformation elder spoke up. After the time it took for half an incense stick to burn, Shi Qianghua finally opened her eyes. Her originally unparalleled beautiful face was now filled with even more of an immortal charm. Ningcheng stared at Shi Qianghua blankly, as he unexpectedly felt a sense of inferiority in his heart. Even elder sister Xu at this time could not compare to Shi Qianghua's elegant and refined beauty. The Grand Palace Master nodded and spoke. What Kong Chan said is right. With Su Anjin's prideful personality, after obtaining those things, she would definitely restore her body and cultivation. At the same time, she would also use strong means to completely destroy our floating snow palace. She would not beat around the bush, and would even participate in the auction. Kong Chan stood up and spoke. If Su Anjin had obtained Ningcheng's things, then she would not have come out with a broken body. She must have already restored her cultivation and corporeal body. In fact, Su Anjin has not fully recovered from her injuries, so she must not have obtained Ningcheng's things. Saying that, she looked at Kong Chan sitting on the side and asked, Kong Chan, do you know why? Just an hour later, Ningcheng could feel the changes in Shi Qianghua. He seemed to be able to feel that Shi Qianghua had gained something, but he was not able to figure out what it was. Shi Qianghua's entire body felt light and lively, and no longer had that kind of heavy feeling from before. When he was besieged by the severing emotions Dao sect, and was completely unable to resist, Shi Qianghua had arrived, and then rescued him. Ningqing felt that time passed too quickly. Together with Shi Qianghua, a month's time had unexpectedly passed by in just a blink of an eye. Today was the day when Shi Qianghua would be fusing with her life essence. As such, Ningqing had already placed several array formations around the immortal cave, while also helping to protect Shi Qianghua. The cyan-robed Grand Palace Master sneered. Thank him? This person schemed against my floating snow palace. In the future, if we know who this person is, my floating snow palace will definitely kill this person first. For the severing emotions Dao sect to seal off the mountain, it must be because something else happened. Now that the severing emotions Dao sect does not pose any threat to us, the first thing that my floating snow palace would want to investigate is who schemed against us. No one who schemed against my floating snow palace would be able to stay out of it unscathed. Now, Ningqing had also been in love for a few years. Shi Qianghua's eyes were slightly red. As she took the initiative to reach out and stroke his face, her eyes were filled with love and worry. Even if he was slow, he knew that Shi Qianghua had already regarded him as her man. Or rather, if she really entered heaven's way, then even if Ningqing fell, she would not even know about it. She would not know that in this world, there was a person who would die specifically for her. Since birth, no one had ever regarded her life as more important than their own. Shi Qianghua did not urge Ningqing. She carefully looked at Ningqing's face, and found that Ningqing's face had changed a little compared to before. She seemed to want to see every single change in Ningqing's body clearly, as she paid close attention to him. 2 lines of tears flowed down. Shi Qianghua had never thought that she would not only recover her soul, but also find her man. At this moment, nothing could compare to the excitement and satisfaction in her heart. Nothing could compare to the importance of Ningqing in her heart. Chapter 337. Blood River? Heaven Opening Talisman? Shi Qianghua, who was leaning on Ningqing's side, after hearing Ningqing's words, asked in amazement. There was still a trace of redness on her face, but Ningqing's words were too shocking for her. That's right, the skeleton at the bottom of the Blood River not only had an incomparably huge golden-colored opening heaven talisman, but he also said that as long as I can find the heavenly cusp flower and the geocentric Ninine essence, I would be able to obtain it. I can cross the plain and return to my hometown. Originally, I wanted to take you back to the Lu continent, find Luofei, and then go back together. For now, I think that we should wait a little longer. Ningqing did not hide anything from Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua quickly asked, Did you snatch the heavenly cusp flower from the severing emotions Dao sect? If so, hurry up and show it to me. Ningqing did not have much understanding towards the heavenly cusp flower. This level of spiritual grasp was already beyond the scope of his knowledge. Hearing about Shi Qianghua's flowers, he immediately handed over the jade box containing the heavenly cusp flowers to Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua opened the jade box containing the heavenly cusp flowers, and spoke with a sigh. Sure enough. What's wrong? Ningqing asked nervously. Shi Qianghua closed the jade box and spoke. This heavenly cusp flower has not yet fully matured. It would take at least 5 to 6 months for it to mature. The reason why Suanjin had not made a move on me until now was because this heavenly cusp flower had not fully matured. Her heavenly cusp flower has already been transplanted once, and now that it has been so carelessly pulled out by you, there is no possibility of it continuing to mature. I think that skeleton's cultivation and spiritual abilities are definitely far stronger than Suanjin's. Even Suanjin can't use the heavenly cusp flower, so if I give it to that skeleton, then I don't think that it would be able to be used. Ningqing, on hearing Shi Qianghua's words, froze for a moment, before he rubbed his forehead and spoke, drawing water with a bamboo basket. However, that skeleton was a bit abominable. This time, if it weren't for you Qianghua saving me, how could I still be alive? If I really can't go back to Earth, you and Luofei can accompany me. If I want to stay here, then I can stay here. Although he believed that the skeleton was not a thick-skinned person, But because he did not crush the Jade Talisman and almost died in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he felt a bit of dissatisfaction towards the skeleton. Originally, according to his calculations, even if he couldn't stay in the Heaven continent in the end, he could at least keep his life. As a result, if not for Shi Qianghua not being able to enter the Heaven's Way, he would have already lost his life. Thinking of not going back, Ningqing sighed. Rulan had already graduated from university, so she should be able to take care of herself. Shi Qianghua grabbed Ningqing's hand and spoke. I am not very clear about the interfaces and planes. Since the plane was so difficult to pass through, there should be strict restrictions on one's cultivation. Even with the help of the heaven-opening talisman, without a certain level of cultivation, you might not be able to return. That skeleton might not have plotted against you, or it might have considered this point. That is possible. Ningqing muttered to himself. He also felt that this skeleton was not a sinister person. He didn't even covet his mysterious yellow bead, so why would he play tricks on such a trivial matter? Hopefully he was thinking too much. After experiencing a lot of things, Ningqing always liked to make assumptions about things. Hesitating for a moment, Ningqing finally asked, do you know where Su Anjin's heavenly cusp flower came from? Even if you did not ask, I would have told you. Su Anjin's heavenly cusp flower came from the sifting orchid star. Not only the Severing Emotions Dao sect's heavenly cusp flower, even the floating snow palace's refining spirit snow and ice domain, the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's small spiritual domain, the Heavenly Dao Academy's Heavenly Dao Public Square's spiritual vein, the Scarlet Sun Weapon sect's Scarlet Sun Furnace and many other things, all of them came from the sifting orchid star. Ningqing was shocked as he interrupted Shi Qianghua's words. What kind of place is the sifting orchid star? How could it have so many good things? Besides, how big is the small spiritual domain? How could the Rainbow Fall Sword sect take it from the sifting orchid star to the academy? Shi Qianghua explained. If it was now, even if all the crucible transformation cultivators of the Yixing mainland were to take action, I estimate that they would not be able to take away the small spiritual domain. I heard that the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's small spiritual domain was not taken away by the cultivators of the Yixing mainland, but rather a cultivator with a powerful spiritual ability, who casually grabbed it and used it to cultivate in the Yixing mainland. Later, after this cultivator left, the small spiritual domain was used by the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's headmaster, turning it into the Academy Mystic Realm. Ningqing gave a sigh. For the Rainbow Fall Sword sect to be able to keep the small spiritual domain, it can be considered as having a bit of skill. Shi Qianghua showed a faint smile. You are a disciple of the Rainbow Fall Sword sect. I guess you do not know how terrifying the Rainbow Fall Sword sect's Rui Baishan is. I once heard Su Anjin say that if the Yixing mainland had 10 most terrifying people, then Rui Baishan would definitely be one of them. If you were to compress these 10 people by half, then Rui Baishan would still be among them. Ningqing sucked in a mouthful of cold air. The first time he saw Rui Baishan, he felt that in front of Rui Baishan he did not have any secrets to speak of. Although he knew that Rui Baishan was powerful, but he did not think that Rui Baishan would be powerful to this extent. He was sure that Shi Qianghua would not lie to him. Even Su Anjin was afraid of such a person. Just how terrifying was he? Qianghua, tell me about the sifting orchid star. Ningqing already had a plan in mind to go to the sifting orchid star. He and Shi Qianghua together, with their strength, they should be able to reach the sifting orchid star. Shi Qianghua nodded. The sifting orchid star is the only extraterrestrial mainland in the Yixing mainland that can be reached. The area is not smaller than the Yixing mainland. Moreover, it has innumerable precious spiritual grasses, as well as countless mystic cultivation grounds. Many of the crucible transformation cultivators of the Yixing mainland were able to obtain an inheritance in the sifting orchid star, which allowed them to rise to prominence. However, the sifting orchid star is not suitable for cultivation, nor is it suitable for living. There are spatial turbulences everywhere, volcanoes, thunder, and hurricanes wreaking havoc everywhere. Even if you find a suitable place for cultivation, the next moment spatial turbulences might suddenly roll up, sweeping you away. What is even more terrifying is that there are countless advanced-level monstrous beasts in the sifting orchid star. How do we get to the sifting orchid star? We have to go to the sifting orchid star. Ningqing spoke with certainty. If he went to the sifting orchid star, then Shi Qianghua would definitely go together with him. Shi Qianghua sighed and spoke. If I could go to the sifting orchid star, I would have already gone there. The transmission array to the sifting orchid star is one of the furthest transmission arrays in the Yixing mainland, and is also guarded by the Heaven Alliance. Several hundred years ago, nearly 100 crucible transformation cultivators disappeared from the sifting orchid star, causing the Heaven Alliance to not allow crucible transformation cultivators to enter the sifting orchid star. Only cultivators in the soul essence realm, soul sculpting realm, and sea opening realm can enter the sifting orchid star. Moreover, to go to the sifting orchid star, one would need to pay an extremely high fee, 3 best quality spirit stones, as well as 10 million high-grade spirit stones. The sifting orchid star does not have a transmission array. As such, after going to the sifting orchid star, one can only wait until they advance to the crucible transformation realm before returning. Unless one has an extremely tough mind, there are not many cultivators who are willing to go to the sifting orchid star. Hearing that Shi Qianghua could not go, Ningqing immediately put down this idea. He thought for a moment, before taking out the other 8 crystal balls and spoke. I also obtained a part of the life essence of the other 8 people from Suanjin. These things are useless to me, so how can I return them to others? Shi Qianghua was very much in favor of Ningqing's idea of returning these life essence to others. She had experienced the suppression of her life essence. As such, she was very clear about the hardships involved. She took out a jade strip and handed it to Ningqing. This is a soul-nourishing array. As long as you arrange a soul-nourishing array, you can place these life essences inside. After the owner of these life essences cultivates to a certain degree, they would then take the initiative to come here and take away their life essences. Ningqing also felt that this method was good. He was worried that the person who came here first would take away their own life essence, and then ruin the other people's life essence. As such, he deliberately separated the 8 life essences. Even if it was Yin Kongchan's life essence, Ningqing was not interested in holding it in his hands. However, he also did not deliberately harm Yin Kongchan. At least Yin Kongchan had reminded him a few times. Northlight Town. This was a small town that was infinitely close to the Yixing Ocean. There were many adventurers and low-leveled cultivators in this place. Ningqing and Shi Qianghua had disguised themselves as a pair of ordinary rogue cultivator husband and wife. At this time, Ningqing and Shi Qianghua were already aware of what had happened. They had just come out of their seclusion when they heard about the major event that had occurred in the Grand Peace City's auction. 18 crucible transformation cultivators had fallen, while the 8 major academies had participated in the war, causing the Severing Emotions Dao sect to seal off their mountains. This kind of thing did not need to be inquired about, as it was being discussed everywhere. Moreover, many academies and even the Heaven Alliance were investigating a cultivator surnamed Kung. After this cultivator provoked a war between several major academies, he then disappeared without a trace. Qianghua, it looks like we cannot continue to stay in the Tian continent. If it goes on like this, we will be discovered sooner or later. Why don't you enter my miniature world, and I will take you to the sifting orchid star? Ningqing came to know that everyone was searching for his whereabouts, and understood in his heart that he had to leave the Tian continent. At least, before he cultivated to the crucible transformation realm, he could not stay here. Shi Qianghua was moved in her heart. She had always wanted to go to the sifting orchid star, because the sifting orchid star contained the secret of her birth. However, she had no way to go there. Now that Ningqing said that he could use his miniature world to take her to the sifting orchid star, she immediately felt her heart move. However, she was still a little worried. If Ningqing was recognized by the Heaven Alliance, then it would not be a good thing. At this time, a stream of light descended from a distance. 2 people came down from a silver airship-type magical weapon. It was a man and a woman. The man was incomparably handsome, with an abundance of essence, chi and spirit, with an extraordinary bearing. With just a glance, one could immediately tell that he came from a major academy. Moreover, his cultivation was also not low, at the 2nd level of soul sculpting realm. The woman was at the soul essence second level, with a well-defined figure, enough to make any female cultivator jealous. Not only that, but her appearance was also not inferior to Yin Kongchan. Her hair was tied up in a bun for female cultivators, with a hairpin on her head that gave off a faint glow. Ningqing knew these two people. As such, it was not strange for Li Lingfan to come here. What made Ningqing surprised was how could Chai Chudai also appear in the Tian continent. Chai Chudai was someone he had met in the Thunder Domain Marsh. This woman was extremely vicious, and had initially wanted to plot against him together with Lu Fei. The result was that in the Thunder City, before Lu Fei died, she ended up taking off all her clothes and escaping. Ningqing also remembered that this woman had a 3-inch-long cyan-colored crescent moon pattern on her lower abdomen. This crescent moon pattern had a faint flicker of thunder, which looked very strange. Moreover, this woman did not care even half a bit about her naked body in front of others, and even remembered to kill her companion Lu Fei. This definitely showed that she was a ruthless person. Ningqing suddenly whispered in Shi Qianghua's ear. "I just saw an acquaintance, Li Lingfan of the Heavenly Dao Academy, let's go ask him." Shi Qianghua quickly pulled Ningqing and spoke. "Ningqing, the Heavenly Dao Academy and the Heaven Alliance have a great relationship. Let's not talk too much with the disciples of the Heavenly Dao Academy." Chapter 338. While Ningqing and Shi Qianghua were talking, Li Lingfan had already noticed Ningqing and Shi Qianghua. He was a soul-sculpting realm cultivator. Yet Ningqing's gaze fell on him with some hesitation. How could he not notice it? Moreover, although Shi Qianghua was wearing an ordinary dress with a veil covering her face, but that kind of peerless temperament made him feel that Shi Qianghua was not an ordinary person. Seeing that Li Lingfan had already noticed him, Ningqing sent a sound transmission to Shi Qianghua and spoke. "Li Lingfan is still a good friend. Moreover, even if he bites the hand that feeds him, he would not be able to do anything to us." Since Ningqing had spoken like this, Shi Qianghua also did not continue to dissuade him. "This friend looks extraordinary. I wonder if we can find a place to sit." Ningqing took the initiative to step forward and cupped his fists before sending a sound transmission to Li Lingfan. "Brotherly, this Ning did not expect to meet you here." Li Lingfan was still wondering why a puny profound core cultivator would dare to take the initiative to talk to him. When he heard Ningqing's sound transmission, he immediately understood, and quickly spoke up. "Of course, I have just arrived at the North Light Town, and was just looking for someone to inquire about the situation here." As Chai Chudi's spiritual consciousness swept over Ningqing's body, she felt that Ningqing was somewhat familiar. Unfortunately, Ningqing's strength was much stronger than her. Even if she was already at the soul essence second level, she still could not see anything. It was reasonable to say that Li Lingfan was the dazzling star of the Heavenly Dao Academy, and also had the cultivation of second level of soul sculpting realm, so why would he be so polite to a profound core realm cultivator? Chai Chudi's gaze swept towards Shi Qianghua at the side of Ningqing. As she sneered in her heart, it was definitely because of Shi Qianghua without a doubt. Li Lingfan and Ningqing seemed to have hit it off at first sight. Moreover, both sides unexpectedly did not even ask each other's names. Chai Chudai had also just met Li Lingfan. As such, he did not have much to say. Shi Qianghua followed behind Ningqing, and did not say anything. As the four people entered the North Light Town, Li Lingfan and Ningqing were talking in the front, while Chai Chudai and Shi Qianghua followed behind. Chai Chudai tried several times to strike up a conversation with Shi Qianghua, but Shi Qianghua did not have any intention to speak. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the four of them entered a pretty good spirit tea house in the town. Li Lingfan turned to Chai Chudai and said, "Junior apprentice Sister Chudai, I and this friend of mine feel like old friends at first sight, so we are going to the private room to discuss a few things. You can wait for me in the lobby on the first floor." Chai Chudai was getting more and more dissatisfied in her heart. Li Lingfan unexpectedly for a strange profound core cultivator. Let a woman like her wait for him in the hall. However, she did not show any of her displeasure. She still said with a smile, "Senior brother Lingfan, go ahead. I'll wait for you here." Ningqing did not speak to Shi Qianghua, but Shi Qianghua took the initiative to speak up. "My husband, I will wait for you here." Her voice was crisp and sweet, instantly attracting the attention of everyone in the hall. The people in the hall were obviously not fools. One look at Li Lingfan's temperament, and they knew that he was the kind of person that they could not afford to offend. After these people glanced at Shi Qianghua, they immediately retracted their gazes. After Li Lingfan and Ning Cheng arrived at a booth, Li Lingfan immediately activated a soundproofing restriction, before anxiously speaking up. Elder brother Ning, you really are bold, to even dare to appear here. When I heard that Su Yingde had severed her emotions, I was extremely worried. Now many academies are looking for you. Even my Heavenly Dao Academy is also looking for you. If elder brother Ning listens to me, then quickly take your Dao companion and leave this place. When Ning Cheng heard Li Lingfan's words, he immediately knew that he had not gambled wrong. Li Lingfan was truly a good friend. Moreover, these words of persuasion also came from the bottom of his heart. Many thanks for elder brother Li's concern. I will soon leave this place. Ning Cheng spoke with a smile, while simultaneously taking out 2 pots of spiritual wine brewed from the spiritual enhancement True Nectar. Li Lingfan sighed. Unfortunately, I do not have any way to help you. There are already people who suspect that the person surnamed Kung who went to the auction was you. Ning Cheng did not answer the last sentence and just spoke up. I won't hide it from elder brother Li. The reason I came looking for you this time is because I really want your help. Li Lingfan immediately spoke up. Elder brother Ning, as long as I can help elder brother Ning, this Li Lingfan will not decline even half a point. Many thanks, elder brother Li. Ning Cheng thanked him and spoke. I want to take my Dao companion to the Sifting Orchid Star, but because I am afraid that the Heaven Alliance would recognize me, I would like to ask you to help me with this. Li Lingfan was surprised in his heart and quickly spoke up. Elder brother Ning, going to the Sifting Orchid Star is a narrow escape. Are you sure that you want to go to the Sifting Orchid Star? Ning Cheng helplessly spoke up. Brother Li, you also saw it. No matter how much my Dao companion and I change our appearances, we would definitely be recognized by others. Other than going to the Sifting Orchid Star, I really have no other way. Li Lingfan also gave out a sigh. If the transmission array between the Lu continent and the Tian continent had not opened, then brother Ning could have gone to the Lu continent with your Dao companion. Did the transmission array from the Lu continent to the Tian continent open? Ning Cheng asked in surprise. Li Lingfan nodded and spoke. Yes, many of the cultivators who want to enter Heaven's Way come from the Lu continent. Moreover, there were also many sect disciples with good qualifications who had come to the Heaven continent. Did you see the female cultivator with me just now? Her name is Chai Chu Dai, and she also just came from the Lu continent. Saying that, Li Lingfan took out a black jade card and a jade strip before handing them to Ning Cheng and spoke. This jade card was given to me by my academy. It is the token to go to the Sifting Orchid Star. In any case, I do not have any plans to go to the Sifting Orchid Star, so you can have it. This jade strip contains the star sky chart from the Sifting Orchid Star to the Yixing mainland. In the future, if you can cultivate to the Crucible Transformation realm, you can then use this star sky chart to return to the Yixing mainland. After a pause, Li Lingfan continued to explain. This black jade card is something that only a few disciples of the 10 major academies possess. Moreover, using this jade card does not require you to use the spirit stones for the transmission array, nor would they investigate your identity. Therefore, even if they know that you are in disguise, they would not check it. Ning Cheng was just about to take the jade card. When he heard Li Lingfan say that this jade card was so precious, he quickly spoke up. Brother Li, this is too precious. Li Lingfan showed a faint smile and spoke. Brother Ning, even if it is precious, how can it be more precious than my life? If Brother Ning regards this Li Lingfan as a friend, then please accept it. When Ning Cheng heard Li Lingfan speak like this, he also did not remain polite. After he put away the jade card and the jade strip, he took the initiative to take out a thin thread and handed it to Li Lingfan and spoke. This is Lung Yu's magical weapon. After I received it, I did not have the time to return it to him. Brother Li, please help me out. Li Lingfan took the magical weapon that Ning Cheng handed to him, and spoke with a smile. After junior apprentice brother Lung Yu lost his drifting space mist thread, he had already mentioned it to me a few times. Even if you did not take it out this time, I would have shamelessly asked you about it. I thank you on behalf of junior apprentice Brother Lung Yu. Ning Cheng also smiled and spoke. Brotherly has already said it. We are already friends. Why would you need to thank me for such a small thing? I do not have many friends. To be able to become friends with Brother Ning, is this Li Lingfan's honor? After Li Lingfan gulped down a few mouthfuls of spiritual wine, he laughed and spoke. How many people can have such a big hand like Brother Ning? In the future when it comes out, I would also be honored. Ning Qing knew that Li Lingfan had already understood that the Grand Peace City's auction house's scheme was something that he had come up with, but he did not point it out, as he drank half a pot of wine with Li Lingfan and asked, Brother Li. Li Lingfan placed the pot of wine on the table and spoke. Ning Cheng, you can just call me by my name, or Lingfan. Brother Li calling me by that name would make you feel like an outsider. To be honest, back at the Heavenly Dao Public Square, I should have had a drink with you. Good, Lingfan can also call me Xiaocheng, this is my other name. Ning Cheng did not remain polite with Li Lingfan. Yes, Xiaocheng is quite easy to call. What did you want to ask me a moment ago? Li Lingfan felt that Ning Cheng's wine was really good, as he continued to speak, while he drank a few mouthfuls of wine. Ning Cheng did not beat around the bush, and directly spoke. You and Chai Chudai just met. How is your relationship? Li Lingfan laughed, as he stood up and walked over to Ning Cheng's side. As he patted Ning Cheng's shoulder and spoke. It looks like you are somewhat interested in her, ah. That Chai Chudai is indeed good-looking, but her schemes are somewhat deep. Otherwise, I would have introduced her to you. When Ning Cheng heard this, he immediately felt relieved in his heart, as he also smiled and spoke. You misunderstood my meaning. I know Chai Chudai. This woman is extremely sinister and vicious. The reason why I asked her is to tell Brother Li not to have anything to do with this woman. She will definitely stab you in the back when you are not paying attention. I am 100% sure that she approached you with a purpose. So that's how it is. Li Lingfan's eyes turned sharp as he sneered and spoke. Wanting to take advantage of me, Li Lingfan, she is still too tender. I said that this woman is a bit weird. Fortunately, you reminded me. Ning Qing nodded, but did not continue. Li Lingfan was able to become a disciple of the Heavenly Dao Academy. As such, he definitely had something extraordinary about him. This time a shape-shifting spiritual ginseng appeared near the North Light Town, causing many people from the various academies to come here. If you want to leave, then leave quickly, do not stay in this place. Li Lingfan finished, and took the initiative to remind Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng took out 10 pots of spiritual wine brewed from the Spiritual Enhancement True Nectar, and handed it to Li Lingfan and spoke. I will not say any words of thanks. I will take my leave now. We will definitely meet again in the future. Li Lingfan also did not remain polite. He had just put away Ning Cheng's spiritual wine, when his spiritual consciousness swept out into the hall. It's your Dao companion. As Li Lingfan spoke, Ning Cheng had already gone downstairs. He hurriedly followed Ning Cheng into the hall. Let's go. As soon as Ning Cheng arrived in the hall, he immediately stepped forward and grabbed Shi Qionghua's hand and spoke. As for the 2 corpses in front of Shi Qionghua, he acted as if he did not see them. A cold snort arrived. Killing people in my North Light Town. Do you think you can just casually walk away? Today, if I, Wang, do not skin you, this adulterous couple, then my North Light gang will no longer exist. As this voice arrived, an even more powerful imposing aura descended. In his view, a cultivator who could only drink tea in the hall was not even considered as an ant. This imposing aura wrapped around a man with a fierce look on his face, as he fell towards the hall of the spiritual tea house. However, not waiting for him to fall to the ground, Shi Qionghua raised her hand and slapped down towards the void. Bang! A sound emerged, as Shi Qionghua directly slapped the man into a pillar in the middle of the hall, causing him to slide to the ground. These 2 people wanted to take me away, but were killed by that Chudai. The person who came here must have gotten the news. Shi Qionghua, at this moment, told Ning Cheng about what had happened. Ning Cheng swept a cold glance at Chai Chudai. He was sure that Chai Chudai was deliberately trying to stir up trouble. However, although Shi Qionghua's hands were soft, Ning Cheng's hands were not soft, as he raised his hand and sent out a fireball. The cultivator, who had been slapped to the ground by Shi Qionghua, had not yet climbed up when Ning Cheng's fireball turned him into flying ash. Chapter 339. When Chai Chudai saw Ning Cheng's gaze, she couldn't help but feel some fear in her heart. Her cultivation was obviously at soul essence 2nd level, but a profound core cultivator was able to make her feel fear. It was completely unreasonable. Unless this profound core cultivator was hiding his cultivation, in any case, she did not dare to continue to look at Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng had turned an expert from the North Light Gang into flying ash with a fireball, not to mention Chai Chudai not daring to look at Ning Cheng. Even the rest of the people in the spiritual tea house all lowered their heads, not daring to look at this incomparably fierce fellow. In this place, there were only some low-leveled cultivators with low cultivation, who would dare to offend the local snake, the North Light Gang? Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept outside the North Light town, and once again found a few shadows. Moreover, there were some familiar figures. He knew that he had to leave. Li Lingfan also knew that Ning Cheng had to leave as soon as possible, so he just came down and spoke to Ning Cheng. "Leave the matters here to me, you can go ahead first." "Okay." Ning Cheng did not remain polite with Li Lingfan, as he pulled Shi Qianghua and quickly left the town, bringing out a flight-type magical weapon, and quickly disappeared. Li Lingfan was an important figure in the Heavenly Dao Academy, not to mention a North Light Gang. Even if there were 100 North Light Gangs, they would not dare to touch a single hair on his head. The two people who wanted to take Shi Qianghua away were attracted by Chai Chudai, and were also killed by Chai Chudai. She had wanted to see how Shi Qianghua and Ning Cheng would deal with this matter, as well as whether Li Lingfan would offend the North Light Gang for Ning Cheng. But she did not expect that Ning Cheng would be so decisive, and that Li Lingfan would not hesitate to help, causing her to not obtain any useful information. That Li Lingfan really knows how to repay kindness. Shi Qianghua spoke after listening to Ning Cheng's words. Ning Cheng also spoke with some emotion. "Actually, I did not help him much. When I first saved him, I did not care about who he was. In other words, no matter who it was, I would have saved him. I have seen many cases of people biting the hand that feeds them. Li Lingfan is indeed a worthy friend." Ning Cheng really did not think of it. He had met Li Lingfan by chance, and wanted to ask Li Lingfan for help. It was just a spur-of-the-moment idea. Or rather, Shi Qianghua had said that the relationship between the Heaven Alliance and the Heavenly Dao Academy was not ordinary, which had this idea. He did not expect that Li Lingfan would not only help him, but also help him a lot. In contrast, Yin Kongchan, Su Yingdai and the others, who kept on saying that he had saved their lives, were actually scheming against him. "Do you know Chai Chudai?" Although Shi Qianghua did not like to stir up trouble, but she knew that Chai Chudai had killed 2 people in a row, and even provoked the North Light Gang to target her and Ning Cheng. Ning Cheng nodded. "Yes, I obtained a treasure. It was a Thunder City. It was this woman who took me there. If it wasn't for her, I wouldn't even know where this Thunder City was. However, this woman was cruel and merciless. She was not a good person. There is a 3-inch crescent moon pattern on her lower abdomen, and there are flashes of lightning. I don't know if it is related to the Thunder City that I obtained." Shi Qianghua's complexion changed. "Have you done it with her? What have you done?" Ning Cheng could not react for an instant. He had never thought that Shi Qianghua would think about those things for no reason at all. Shi Qianghua did not know how to explain it. At this time, Ning Cheng finally understood as he grabbed Shi Qianghua's hand and spoke. "Qianghua, I have only had skin contact with 2 women until now. One is you, and the other is Luofei. Don't misunderstand. You're the only one who's having sex with me. Luofei and I know each other through trials and tribulations, just like you. I will not abandon her." Ning Cheng's words were somewhat euphemistic, but he clearly stated that Luofei and Shi Qianghua's status was the same. If Shi Qianghua, because of the matters between them, had any thoughts towards Luofei, then he would feel very sad in his heart, even uncomfortable. Shi Qianghua immediately understood the meaning of Ning Cheng's words. Ning Cheng had misunderstood her. She had thought that Ning Cheng and Chai Chudai had skin contact, causing her complexion to change, not because of jealousy, but because of Ning Cheng's secret. Chai Chudai did not look like a good person. Once she knew about Ning Cheng's secret, how could she not have any thoughts towards him? That's not the reason. It's because when we were together, I knew that you have a thunder city, a fire seed, and even the origin aura. If these things were leaked, then even the cultivators of the entire Tian continent would not let you off. Shi Qianghua's words had not yet finished, when Ningqing completely understood. Originally, Shi Qianghua had told him not to be with other women. It was because of this matter. Even if Shi Qianghua had not said it, he would not have done it. I know. Ningqing could feel Shi Qianghua's thoughts, as he directly pulled Shi Qianghua into his arms. Shi Qianghua was just about to speak to Ningqing, when her complexion suddenly changed, before she instantly spoke up. Ningqing, we are surrounded by people, moreover even the space around us has been locked. After listening to Shi Qianghua's words, Ningqing could also feel the situation. He immediately put away his flight-type magical weapon. While simultaneously holding Shi Qianghua, he was about to stimulate the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. If not for Shi Qianghua's timely reminder, then perhaps he would have completely rushed into the other party's restriction. Immediately, he felt that the surrounding space had become terrifyingly viscous, making it impossible for him to escape. From this, it could be seen that even if he did not completely rush into the other party's restriction, he would still be greatly affected. More than a dozen extremely powerful fluctuations quickly rushed over from all directions, not to mention that Ningqing was only in the soul essence realm. Even if he was in the soul sculpting realm, he would not be able to escape at this moment. Although Shi Qianghua's cultivation was high, but with the twin wings of the heavenly clouds on Ningqing's body, there were also several powerful spiritual consciousnesses that had locked onto Shi Qianghua. Ningqing's spiritual consciousness simultaneously swept over several powerhouses. Not a single one of them had a cultivation below crucible transformation realm. Shi Qianghua apparently also saw this situation, causing her to calm down, as she spoke in a soft voice. If we really can't escape, then let's just die together. Ningqing was not willing to be captured without putting up a fight. He did not hesitate to bring out the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. Under the stimulation of the power of hope from the imperial jade seal, the Buddha fire wheel was just like a meteor, as it instantly broke through the forbidden space shackles, before disappearing into the horizon. Shi Qianghua looked at the rapidly ascending Buddha fire wheel in shock. Even her spiritual consciousness was unable to observe the situation outside. This speed was simply too terrifying. Moreover, what kind of power could break through such a powerful forbidden space shackles? What kind of magical weapon is this? How could it be so terrifying? Shi Qianghua could not help but ask in shock. Ningqing could feel that the Buddha fire wheel had finally broken through the forbidden space shackles, causing him to feel relieved in his heart. As long as the Buddha fire wheel could rush out, then even a crucible transformation cultivator would not be able to catch up to him. This is a Buddha's supreme treasure. Originally I thought that it was just a low-grade true artifact. However, this magical weapon might not be as simple as a low-grade true artifact. Moreover, this magical weapon is powered by the power of hope. Qianghua, have you ever heard of the power of hope? The power of hope in Ningqing's imperial jade seal was getting lesser and lesser. He was worried that once the power of hope was used up, he would not be able to use it again. Power of hope. Shi Qianghua shook her head in a daze, but she felt that she had heard of it somewhere before. She then asked, so when you obtained the 9-colored mirage tree, did you also use the power of hope to dig it up? I heard that the 9-colored mirage tree cannot be dug up using true essence. That's right. Ningqing did not conceal anything in front of Shi Qianghua. He was very unhappy about this ambush. This definitely was a ploy by someone. If not for him and Shi Qianghua being together, if they had gone a little further, then even the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel would not have been able to escape. This time we were plotted against. If not for me using the power of hope to stimulate the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel, then we would have definitely died. Ningqing clenched his fists. His strength was truly not good. If he was in the crucible transformation realm, then he would not have needed to escape. He would have directly killed them. Shi Qianghua understood Ningqing's thoughts. She grabbed Ningqing's hand and asked, was it Li Lingfan? Ningqing was silent for a moment, before he shook his head and spoke. It was definitely not him. We only met Li Lingfan by chance. Moreover, we had not come out of the North Light town for a long time. But the arrangement that intercepted us was not simple at all. Almost the entire vicinity of the North Light Town was covered with a forbidden space restriction. It was obvious that they knew in advance that we had entered the North Light Town. Moreover, these forbidden space restrictions were set up to prevent us from using the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, or using the transfer talisman to suddenly escape. Therefore, these people who plotted against us had already recognized me before we even entered the North Light Town. They could have directly trapped us, but this group of people were afraid of my twin wings of the heavenly clouds, so just in case, they arranged a forbidden space restriction in advance. Unfortunately, I still have the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel. I have already recognized a few of them, and will definitely pay them a visit one by one in the future. Speaking till the end, Ning Cheng's killing intent directly revealed itself. It would be dangerous for us to go to the transfer array controlled by the Heaven Alliance. Maybe by the time we arrive, someone would already be blocking us. Shi Qianghua asked in doubt. Didn't you say that Li Lingfan did not plot against us? We are going to the Sifting Orchid Star. Shouldn't he be the only one who knows about it? Ning Cheng explained. Li Lingfan is already in the North Light Town. Even if he did not want to say it, he would not be able to stop so many crucible transformation cultivators from interrogating him. If we can reach the transfer array in the shortest possible time, then we should still be able to make it, but I'm afraid that by the time we arrive, this group of bastards would already know about it. If not for the power of hope from the true Brahma Buddha fire will being insufficient, Ning Cheng would have directly controlled it. In any case, the Buddha fire wheel was already in the Sifting Orchid Star. Shi Qianghua was silent for a moment before speaking. With our current speed, when we arrive at the transfer array, they should not have enough time to react. Let's see how long that Li Lingfan can hold on before speaking. As long as he can hold on for an hour, then it should not be a problem. Ning Cheng also knew that what Shi Qianghua said was right, as he stimulated the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel to move towards the direction of the transfer array. His current cultivation was many times stronger than before. As such, his control over the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel was also a lot more flexible. There should not be many people who knew that he possessed the twin wings of the heavenly clouds. Moreover, the Severing Emotions Dao sect, where Su Yingde was from, had already sealed itself off, so it was most likely that it was Yin Kongchan who leaked it. It was also possible that he was discovered by an expert during the tournament at the Heavenly Dao Public Square. What a terrifying flight-type magical weapon. It can even break through the forbidden space restriction. A crucible transformation cultivator stared at the true Brahma Buddha fire wheel in the distance, as he spoke out in shock. This person talked to Li Lingfan in the North Light Town. We should immediately go and inquire about it from Li Lingfan. I do not believe that he can escape from the Tian continent. The person who spoke had a thick killing intent in his tone. If Ning Cheng was here, he would immediately recognize this person as the sickly man from the Red Star Sword faction, Tang Gongxi. Chapter 340. An hour later, in the northernmost part of the Tian continent, outside a mountain range lacking in spiritual qi, Ning Cheng and Shi Qianghua appeared. Not only was the place lacking in spiritual qi, but it was also surrounded by gusts of whirlwinds that came out of nowhere. For people with poor cultivation, if they were not careful, they would be swept away by these whirlwinds. The location of this transmission array is really out of the way. Ning Cheng sighed. Shi Qianghua replied. I heard that this place was originally a small academy in the Tian continent, but after that foreign cultivator settled here, he felt that arranging a transmission array here was quite good, and arranged a transmission array to head to the Sifting Orchid Star. Let's go and have a look. Ning Cheng's spiritual consciousness swept towards the distant mountain range. He knew that the transmission array to the Sifting Orchid Star was located in the deepest part of this mountain range. Why don't I enter the miniature world first and you go alone? Shi Qianghua quickly spoke up. Ning Cheng nodded. Now we can only try our luck. With so many crucible transformation cultivators interrogating us, Li Lingfan would definitely not be able to hold on for long. I can only hope that Li Lingfan has not yet revealed our whereabouts. At the same time, in the North Light Town, Li Lingfan was bowing towards the several crucible transformation cultivators. Nephew Lingfan, I will not beat around the bush. There was a cultivator who met you here a moment ago. Do you know where he went? Tang Guangxi thought that his words had given Li Lingfan a lot of face. At least he spoke in a very vague manner. He did not directly ask Li Lingfan where Ningqing went. Li Lingfan frowned and thought for a while before asking. Who is it that Senior Tang is talking about? I have already met many of my friends here. There were more than a dozen of them. Tang Guangxi impatiently interrupted Li Lingfan's words and spoke. I will not beat around the bush with you. Why don't you tell me directly where Ningqing went? Ningqing? Li Lingfan suddenly smiled. Senior Tang. How would I know where Ningqing went? Besides, I am a disciple of the Heavenly Dao Academy. Does Senior Tang think that the Red Star Sword faction can eat my Heavenly Dao Academy? So why are you threatening me? As Li Lingfan finished, he raised his hand and took out a flying sword, ready to shoot it out. Tang Guangxi's expression immediately became unsightly. He didn't know if he should stop them or not. If he did, then he would be afraid of the Heavenly Dao School. If they did not stop it, then the strength of the Heavenly Dao Academy would obviously be far stronger than the Red Star Sword faction. For this operation, they did not have an appointment with the Heavenly Dao Academy. Once the Heavenly Dao Academy came, Ningqing's belongings would be reduced by a lot. Moreover, the Heavenly Dao Academy was extremely two-faced. The last time they had intercepted the Severing Emotions Dao sect, all the other academies had suffered some damage, except for the Heavenly Dao Academy, which did not even suffer any minor injuries. It was obvious that the Heavenly Dao Academy did not go all out. As such, when they intercepted Ningqing, they simply did not intend to call the Heavenly Dao Academy. The reason why Tang Gongxi spoke to Li Lingfan in such an impolite tone was because Li Lingfan had always been polite to the elders, and his reputation had always been good. It was not an exaggeration to say that he was an obedient disciple. He wanted to use his cultivation to suppress Li Lingfan, and make Li Lingfan confess honestly. He didn't expect to hit a snag. When a pale-faced man from the Yinyang Dao saw this, he hurriedly went forward to stop him and said, Nephew Lingfan, let's talk things through. Brother Tang did not mean that. He just wanted to inquire about Ningqing's whereabouts. So that's how it is, I got it. Li Lingfan gave a chuckle and put away the messenger flying sword. Seeing Li Lingfan reveal such an expression, the several crucible transformation cultivators felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off their shoulders. Tang Gongxi wanted to pretend to be a senior, but ended up hitting a snag. That's right. Do you know where Ningqing went? The crucible transformation cultivator from the Yinyang Dao sect eagerly asked. Li Lingfan gave a smile and spoke in a calm manner. I don't know. The several crucible transformation cultivators looked at each other. They did not want to force Li Lingfan. After all, forcing Li Lingfan to do so would mean becoming enemies with the Heavenly Dao Academy. No one would be willing to take the initiative to do such a stupid thing. After the several crucible transformation cultivators finished their discussion, not long after, Li Lingfan received a messenger flying sword. Li Lingfan knew that the crucible transformation elder from the Heavenly Dao Academy had arrived. At this time, he could only hope that Ningqing had not gone to the transmission array. Once the crucible transformation elder from the Heavenly Dao Academy arrived, he would definitely reveal Ningqing's whereabouts. Passing through the rolling mountains, Ningqing saw a gray building surrounded by restrictions. Ningqing had just walked into this gray building when he was stopped by a soul-sculpting cultivator. I want to go to the Sifting Orchid Star. This is my identity card. Ningqing took out a black jade card and handed it over without any expression. He was ready. Once the people here recognized him, he would immediately call out Shi Qionghua, and the two of them would kill their way out. Ningqing had just taken out the black jade card when a few powerful spiritual consciousnesses swept over him. These were definitely crucible transformation cultivators. Ningqing was shocked in his heart, but he still managed to maintain his calm. After these powerful spiritual consciousnesses fell on Ningqing's body, they did not immediately leave. Rather, one of the spiritual consciousnesses fell on Ningqing's miniature world ring. Ningqing felt slightly nervous in his heart. He was sure that until now, Li Lingfan had not yet revealed the news that he wanted to go to the Sifting Orchid Star. However, this kind of thing could happen at any time. Once the people here received the news, it would be very difficult for him to escape. At that time, they would not be able to use their spiritual consciousnesses to investigate him. What's more, Ning Cheng was even more worried about his miniature world. He always had 2 rings in his hand. One was public, and the other was engraved with a concealment restriction. It was his small world. Ordinary people would not be able to see his concealment ring. But now that a spiritual consciousness fell on his miniature world, it showed that this person was an array Dao expert. This guy could tell that his concealment ring was a little different. Ning Cheng believed that even if the opposite party was an expert in the Dao of arrays, it would be impossible for them to use their spiritual consciousness to crack the concealment restriction of his miniature world. His array Dao cultivation had already far surpassed his actual cultivation. That soul-sculpting realm cultivator took Ning Cheng's jade card and went inside. Not long after, he came out and spoke to Ning Cheng. The identity card has been verified to be correct. However, even if you have the identity card, if you want to go to the Sifting Orchid Star by yourself, it would still cost you 3 million spirit stones and 2 best quality spirit stones. Ning Cheng guessed that Li Lingfan had not inquired about these things. As such, he did not have any objection to the 3 million spirit stones here. Although it was a pity to take away 2 top-quality spirit stones, it was still within his acceptable range. He originally had 5 top-quality spirit stones on him. As such, taking away 2 would not have much of an impact on him. Seeing Ning Cheng take out 3 million high-grade spirit stones without any hesitation, along with 2 top-quality spirit stones, this soul-sculpting cultivator looked at Ning Cheng a few more times. Even if Ning Cheng came from the Heavenly Dao Academy, it was rare for a soul essence cultivator to be so generous. Fortunately, this cultivator did not ask anything, and directly brought Ning Cheng to the transmission plaza. Only then did the powerful spiritual consciousness that had been circling around Ning Cheng's body retract, causing Ning Cheng to secretly sigh in relief. After the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn, a blinding white light flashed through the gray buildings. Ning Cheng, who was standing in the middle of the transmission array, was immediately wrapped up by this white light, before he instantly disappeared without a trace. Ning Cheng had only left for a few minutes, when a red flying sword rushed into the gray buildings, before it fell into the hands of a long-haired man. A great enemy of the Heaven Alliance is heading to the Sifting Orchid Star. Be sure to stop him. The messenger flying sword only had a few words on it, but this long-haired man knew that this flying sword was a few minutes late. The great enemy mentioned on the flying sword was definitely the soul essence cultivator, who had concealed his ring a moment ago. Unfortunately, he had already been sent away. The moment Ning Cheng was sent away by the transmission array, he immediately felt bursts of tearing pain. At this moment, not to mention releasing his spiritual consciousness, even keeping himself awake was not easy. Ning Cheng forcibly kept himself awake. He knew that once he fainted, even if he was sent to the Sifting Orchid Star, he did not know what the consequences would be. Time and space at this moment in Ning Cheng's consciousness had turned into nothingness. He was simply not aware of the passage of time, nor was he aware of the transformation of space. He forcibly kept his mind in check, while in his heart he was secretly admiring the person who built this transmission array. It was simply too amazing. Even a Tier 9 array formation grandmaster would not be able to build such a terrifying transmission array. Bang! Not knowing for how long, Ning Cheng felt himself falling onto a pile of rocks, causing the pain all over his body to sober up. It was not until now that he understood, even if he forcibly kept himself awake, he still ended up losing consciousness. Fortunately, this fall was very solid. As such, he could not help but wake up. Ning Cheng had just opened his eyes, when a fishy wind rushed over. Ning Cheng did not have enough time to look at it, and immediately punched out. Boom! Ning Cheng felt as if his fist had punched a hard steel plate. The strength of the recoil even caused his fist to feel a bit of pain. Ning Cheng quickly took out the black spear, while simultaneously informing Shi Qianghua that he had arrived. Shi Qianghua had just come out of the miniature world, when that fishy wind once again rushed over. Shi Qianghua raised her hand, and a sword light flew out, causing that fishy wind to give out a hissing sound, as it spilled a pool of blood, before it instantly escaped. From the beginning to the end, Ning Cheng was not able to clearly see what kind of monstrous beast it was. This is a fishy wind beast. It comes and goes without a trace. This fishy wind beast's rank is still very low. As such, it is not something to worry about, Shi Qianghua explained. Ning Cheng's ears were filled with all kinds of terrible whistling sounds as he looked at the endless wilderness and spoke. Qianghua, fortunately you accompanied me here. A low-level fishy wind beast almost killed me. If I encountered a high-level monstrous beast, then what would I do? Shi Qianghua knew that Ning Cheng deliberately said those words, as she smiled and spoke. In fact, the monstrous beasts here all have their own characteristics. As long as you master their characteristics, you can easily kill them. After a pause, Shi Qianghua continued. In the sifting orchid star, although it is not suitable for cultivation, but it is most suitable for forging one's body. For your embracing yang god tactic to quench your corporeal body in this place, it would be the best. Ning Cheng spoke with a bitter face. The embracing yang god tactic has now been modified by me to the point that it can only be called the non-phase spirit tactic, although it is good for quenching the corporeal body, but I do not understand anything about forging the body, nor have I come into contact with any kind of body forging cultivation method. Shi Qianghua gave a mysterious smile and spoke. I'll take you to a place. When Ning Cheng saw the smile on Shi Qianghua's face, he almost froze. It was the first time that he had seen such a playful smile on Shi Qianghua's face. At this moment, he felt that Shi Qianghua was the most beautiful scenery that the heavens had given him. Chapter 341. After Ning Cheng followed Shi Qianghua for a while, he immediately felt that something was not right, as he asked in doubt. Qianghua, this place is filled with raging winds. Even the sunlight is not visible. How are you able to distinguish the direction? Before I was 10 years old, I lived here. Shi Qianghua spoke with a somewhat depressed tone, as if she was thinking about something from the past. What? Ning Cheng stopped in shock. He did not think that Shi Qianghua was born in the sifting orchid star. If Shi Qianghua was born in the sifting orchid star, didn't that mean that Shi Qianghua's parents were also here? Seeing Ning Cheng stop, Shi Qianghua also stopped. She stood side by side with Ning Cheng, as she looked into the distance and spoke. As far as I can remember, Uncle Yu and I have been living in this place. Later, Uncle Yu went out once and never came back, so I lived here alone. Ning Cheng looked at Shi Qianghua in disbelief. Although he had just arrived at the sifting orchid star, and had not encountered any dangerous places. However, there were strong winds everywhere, and there were deep ravines plowed by unknown things on the ground. It was obvious that this was not a place for people to live in. Shi Qianghua was only 10 years old. How could she live independently here? Furthermore, he had spent his entire childhood cultivating in such a terrifying place. It was truly unimaginable. As if she knew what Ning Cheng was thinking, Shi Qianghua helped Ning Cheng brush off some of the dust on his face and spoke. The place I live in is quite safe. Moreover, when Uncle Yu left, I was already in the soul sculpting realm. Ning Cheng at this time was completely speechless. He was well aware of the difficulty of cultivation. His cultivation speed could be said to be incomparably fast, but Dao was only at the soul essence 3rd level. Shi Qianghua had already reached the soul sculpting realm at the age of 10. Just what kind of speed was this? Even talented cultivators like Yin Kongchan and Su Yingde would need to reach their late 20s or even 30s before they could reach soul sculpting. And this was the effect of the sex accumulation of resources. Otherwise, his progress would be even slower. Ning Cheng knew that he had only spent a few years cultivating to the soul essence realm, but he still felt puzzled about Shi Qianghua's cultivation speed. Although he was able to cultivate to the soul essence realm, but there were conditions and restrictions. If he had not obtained the mysterious yellow bead, not to mention the soul essence realm, it was estimated that he would not have even reached the middle stages of the qi gathering realm. Moreover, Ning Cheng was sure that if Shi Qianghua had such a thing, she would have definitely told him about it. Just like how he had told Shi Qianghua about the origin of the mysterious yellow origin. I'm a reincarnated body. My essence soul is naturally powerful. Coupled with the inheritance of the cultivation method, as well as Uncle Yu looking for heavenly materials and earthly treasures for me everywhere, it would not be strange for me to cultivate to the soul sculpting realm at the age of 10. Moreover, Uncle Yu said that the conditions here are too poor, and my cultivation speed is too slow. Listening to Shi Qianghua's words, Ningqing did not know what to say. Was this speed still slow? Shi Qianghua continued. I do not know if it was fast or slow, but since Uncle Yu did not come back, I have been cultivating here alone. One time when I went out to look for spiritual grasses, I met Su Anjin. Because my soul and life essence were incomparably powerful, Su Anjin directly took me away from the sifting orchid star, and even suppressed a trace of my life essence. If it weren't for you, I might not be here anymore. This damned old woman, I should have burned down her doghouse, Ningcheng said with hatred in his voice. Then he remembered that Shi Qianghua was already 33 years old. If she had advanced to the soul sculpting realm at the age of 10, then the progress of Shi Qianghua's cultivation in the last 22 years, compared to the first 10 years, was simply no progress at all. Shi Qianghua showed a faint smile, as she tightly grasped Ningcheng's hand and spoke. Actually, I do not hate her. If not for her, I would not have met you. Not having you is my biggest regret. The reason why I came back to the sifting orchid star with you was to find out if Uncle Yu was still there. Shi Qianghua did not speak any words of love. As such, her words came from the bottom of her heart. If there was anything, then she would say it out loud. Me too. Ningcheng also held Shi Qianghua's hand tightly. Can you take me to see the place where you live? Shi Qianghua had just responded, when she suddenly held Ningcheng and quickly leapt away. Ningcheng had absolute trust in Shi Qianghua. Even if Shi Qianghua suddenly held him and leapt away, he did not resist, he did not even think much about it. Boom! A terrifying explosion erupted behind Ningcheng, as Ningcheng swept out with his spiritual consciousness, only to find that the place where he and Shi Qianghua were standing a moment ago had erupted with a flame that was several tens of feet high. Moreover, this flame was still continuing to erupt, while also continuing to spread. Ningcheng sucked in a mouthful of cold air. This kind of erupting volcano, once swept into it, even if he had the cultivation of soul essence realm, he would still end up without even his bones remaining. These are the scattered volcanoes of the sifting orchid star. This kind of volcano can erupt at any time. Once you feel that the surrounding space is somewhat unstable, or the temperature changes, then you must pay attention to this kind of volcanic eruption. Shi Qianghua explained to Ningcheng. Ningcheng nodded. If not for Shi Qianghua by his side, then even if he was more careful, in this place, sooner or later he would have fallen into a trap. Then let's go now. As Ningcheng spoke, he completely spread out his spiritual consciousness. In this place, not only did they have to pay attention to their surroundings, but it was also a test for their spiritual consciousness. Shi Qianghua did not immediately leave, but instead spoke. This kind of volcano comes quickly, but also goes quickly. Moreover, after this kind of volcanic eruption, it would bring out a kind of artifact crafting material. This kind of artifact crafting material is called the Scarlet Brilliant Crystal, which is a rank 7 artifact crafting material. Ningcheng did not have the time to sigh. Danger was always accompanied by opportunity, when he felt 2 spatial fluctuations. Someone is coming. They also know that there is a volcanic eruption in this place. As such, they are looking for the Scarlet Brilliant Crystal. Shi Qianghua's voice had just fallen, when 2 figures landed not far from them. Ningcheng could feel a violent aura coming from these 2 people. It felt like a volcanic eruption, but also like a hurricane sweeping through. He did not ask Shi Qianghua, but in his heart he understood what was going on. These 2 people definitely cultivated in the sifting orchid star for a long time, dealing with volcanic eruptions, hurricanes and spatial turbulences, which allowed them to develop this kind of violent aura. Of the 2 people who arrived, one was at the intermediate stages of the soul sculpting realm, while the other was at the late stages of the crucible transformation realm. The late stages of the crucible transformation realm was a middle-aged man with dark red hair, just like a newly lit bonfire. The cultivator in the soul sculpting realm looked relatively weak, and wore a cultivator's hat on his head. Shi Qianghua's cultivation was at the crucible transformation 3rd level, while Ningcheng's cultivation was only at the soul essence 3rd level. Compared to these 2 people, Shi Qianghua and Ningcheng were obviously at a disadvantage. Hey, did they just come? The middle-aged late-stage crucible transformation realm cultivator glanced at Ningcheng and Shi Qianghua in surprise. Shi Qianghua and Ningcheng did not have the violent aura of the sifting orchid star. It was obvious that they had just arrived here. After he spoke those words to himself, he looked at the soul-sculpting realm cultivator beside him and asked, Yenda, didn't you say that the sifting orchid star does not allow crucible transformation cultivators to come here? How come there is a crucible transformation cultivator here? The middle-aged man in the soul-sculpting realm gave a smile. Elder brother Le, this shows that they have something similar to a miniature world. Moreover, Yenda did not conceal his words, and even used his eyes to look at Shi Qianghua in an unscrupulous manner. As for Ningcheng, he completely ignored him. An early-stage soul essence cultivator. How could he even put him in his eyes? This late-stage crucible transformation cultivator called Elder Brother Le gave a hearty laugh, before he spoke up with some regret. What a pity. Yenda seemed to be able to read the mind of this late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, as he immediately narrowed his eyes and spoke. Elder Brother Le, it is not a pity, where can you not get a purine woman? On this sifting orchid star, to find such a stunning woman as a furnace, it is really hard to come by. Moreover, her cultivation is also quite high. Ningcheng's eyes flashed with murderous intent, but he was worried that Shi Qianghua would not be able to deal with this late-stage crucible transformation cultivator. Hey, this little ant dares to reveal his murderous intent? Could it be that I, Qi Lu, have not returned to the Tian continent for hundreds of years, causing the temper of the ants in the Tian continent to become bigger? The late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, on seeing the murderous intent in Ningcheng's eyes, couldn't help but mutter to himself in a puzzled manner. Elder brother Le, there is no need to lower yourself to the level of an ant. I will kill him first. This soul-sculpting cultivator finished speaking, as he immediately rushed towards Ningcheng. Shi Qianghua was just about to start, when Ningcheng spoke up with a sound transmission. Qianghua, you pay attention to that red-haired ghost, he will not let you start. Wait for me to kill this fellow. Then we can join forces to kill that red-haired ghost. Shi Qianghua had always listened to Ningcheng's words. However, she did not know that Ningcheng did not understand her methods at all. If Ningcheng knew that her life essence had recovered to such a state, then he would not need to worry about it at all. That late-stage crucible transformation cultivator, on seeing that Shi Qianghua did not help Ningcheng, felt somewhat surprised. If Shi Qianghua did not move, then he obviously would not make a move. In his view, Yenda was an intermediate-stage soul-sculpting cultivator. If he wanted to kill Ningcheng, a soul essence third-level cultivator, then it would be as simple as pinching an ant to death. At the same time that Yenda rushed towards Ningcheng, he immediately blasted out with his magical weapon. A pair of black and white 100-bladed wheels. After the two wheels blasted out, it immediately stimulated a dense black and white wheel shadow. Each shadow had thousands of wheel blades attached to it. The thousands of wheel blades cut through the surrounding space with a hissing sound, as if they were countless poisonous snakes. These thousands of rotating blades had completely sealed off Ning City. In his opinion, not to mention that Ningcheng was only at the soul essence third level. Even if Ningcheng was at the late stages of the soul sculpting realm, under these thousands of black and white wheel shadows, he would still be in imminent danger. Although Shi Qianghua was nervously watching Ningcheng, but she did not make a move. Although she had never seen Ningcheng's combat prowess, she still had some understanding of it. When she had rescued Ningcheng from the Severing Emotions Dao sect, Ningcheng had not only killed one or two disciples of the Severing Emotions Dao sect. Moreover, among the people that Ningcheng had killed, there were also cultivators in the soul sculpting realm. Now that there was only Yenda attacking Ningcheng, Shi Qianghua believed that Ningcheng would be able to deal with it. If he did not have the everlasting Blue Thunder City, then even if Ningcheng could deal with Yenda, he would only end up in a stalemate. However, with the everlasting Blue Thunder City, even if Yenda was at the intermediate stages of the soul sculpting realm, Ningcheng was not afraid of him. Yenda's cultivation was only at the intermediate stages of the soul sculpting realm, yet he wanted to use his imposing aura and spiritual consciousness to lock down Ningcheng. It truly was just wishful thinking. Ningcheng's figure flashed a few times, before he completely broke free from Yenda's spiritual consciousness shackles. However, Ningcheng did not avoid these thousands of black and white will blades, rather he directly brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City. The everlasting Blue Thunder City had already been exposed in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, so it would not matter much if it was exposed in the Sifting Orchid Star. Moreover, Ningcheng's idea in his heart was that as long as Shi Qianghua could pin down that red-haired man, he would definitely kill this person. Chapter 342. Pili Pala, a series of explosions rang out. Thousands of black and white will blades that could tear through the air were actually blocked by the Phantom Thunder City. But this Thunder City's virtual shadow only dimmed, but under Ningcheng's stimulation, it quickly became clear once again. What kind of magic treasure is this? Qi Lu stared at the Thunder City's virtual shadow in shock as he muttered to himself. A soul essence cultivator was unexpectedly able to use a magical weapon to block the full-powered attack of a soul sculpting realm cultivator. How could this magical weapon be simple? And this was just a phantom? Thinking of this, Qi Li's gaze immediately became fiery as he looked at the flashing lightning in the Thunder City's shadow. He had to get his hands on this magic treasure. As such, when he saw the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he immediately understood that it was definitely a supreme magical weapon. This magic treasure was already so powerful even though it was only a shadow. Once he could bring out this Thunder City, he would definitely be able to control countless lightning arcs to bombard his enemies. At that time, who would be a match for him, Qi Lu? One had to say that Qi Li's vision was much higher than Ningcheng's. Ningcheng only knew that this Thunder City was a good thing, but he was still limited to using the everlasting Blue Thunder City for defense. As for using the everlasting Blue Thunder City to blast out the lightning arcs, he did not have any idea about it. Qi Li's heart was burning with passion for Ningcheng's Thunder City, so why would he care about the battle between Yenda and Ningcheng? His figure flashed, as he raised his hand towards Ningcheng to grab him. In addition to paying attention to Ningcheng, Shi Qianghua was also staring at Qi Li's movements. Now that Qi Lu dared to take the initiative to deal with Ningcheng, how could she agree to it? With a raise of his hand, a cyan sword radiance shot out, instantly transforming into a semicircular cyan sword arc. Qi Lu simply did not put Shi Qianghua in his eyes. The reason why he dared to be so conceited was because he had experienced hundreds of years of life and death experiences in the Sifting Orchid Star. Moreover, he had also obtained many inheritances and benefits from the Sifting Orchid Star. Besides, his cultivation was also much stronger compared to Shi Qianghua. So how could he put Shi Qianghua in his eyes? Qi Li's hand claw instantly turned into a huge fist shadow. This fist shadow did not show even half a shred of intention to evade, as it blasted onto Shi Qianghua's cyan-colored sword arc Peng. The sword radiance scattered in all directions, and the green sword arc disappeared. Qi Lu was forced to retreat dozens of meters away. He looked at the back of his hand in shock. Unexpectedly there were several bloodstains on it. He looked at Shi Qianghua, who was also sent flying upside down, and no longer regarded Shi Qianghua as an ordinary crucible transformation third-level cultivator. The peerlessly beautiful woman in white in front of him was in no way weaker than him. Qi Lu was well aware of his own bottom line. His strength was condensed under the violent environment of the Sifting Orchid Star, coupled with the addition of various inheritances, although he did not dare to say that he was invincible within the same realm. But he believed that there were not many crucible transformation cultivators who were stronger than him. Right now, this white-robed woman's cultivation level was lower than his, but her attacks were not any weaker than his. This meant that her legacy was much stronger than his cultivation technique. Coupled with Lei Cheng's shadow, how could Qi Lu not know that he had encountered an extremely good thing? A supreme magic treasure and supreme cultivation method seemed to be waiting for him. Thinking of this, Qi Lu calmed down and raised his hand to summon a large black flag. Ningcheng, on seeing that Shi Qianghua did not seem to be any weaker than this red-haired man, immediately felt relieved in his heart. As long as he could find a way to kill this Yenda, he would then be able to help Shi Qianghua. Yenda was also shocked in his heart. He had not yet sobered up from the shock of Ningcheng blocking his black and white will blades, when Qi Lu suddenly attacked Ningcheng. He knew that Qi Lu was coveting Ningcheng's Thunder City shadow. as he knew that this Thunder City's shadow was definitely a good thing. At this moment, not to mention Qi Lu, even he was tempted by it. However, he knew that his cultivation was not as good as Qi Li's, so even if he was tempted by it, he could not show it on the surface. But now that Qi Lu was unexpectedly blocked by that female cultivator, his heart suddenly turned lively. As long as he killed this soul essence kid, and snatched his things, then he would be able to leave. It would not be easy to find him in the sifting orchid star. Yenda's mind moved, and an incomparably violent murderous aura erupted out. Under the swinging of his will blades, this time it did not bring out thousands of will blades, but rather a will blade storm mixed with a murderous aura. The berserk will blade storm bombarded onto Ningcheng's everlasting blue Thunder City, causing Ningcheng to feel an extreme discomfort, as if his internal organs were being torn apart by this terrifying murderous storm. Not only that, even his mind was filled with all kinds of violent murderous sounds. The everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow, in just a twinkling of an eye, cracked open and gradually dissipated. Although Ningcheng was able to block the siege of many soul essence cultivators and soul sculpting cultivators in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, it did not mean that he would be able to beat an intermediate stage soul sculpting cultivator. It was not a simple matter of 1 plus 1. Initially, when he was able to block so many soul essence cultivators in the Severing Emotions Dao sect, he was, after all, relying on the everlasting blue Thunder City. Moreover, Yenda cultivated the Tao of Slaughter in the Sifting Orchid Star, so compared to ordinary intermediate stage soul sculpting cultivators, he was much stronger. My husband, you have to be careful of this person's sneak attacks. He cultivates the Tao of Slaughter. Once his murderous aura invades your mind, then you will die without a chance of survival. Shi Qianghua's voice reached Ningcheng's ears. Ningcheng was shocked in his heart, but he instantly sobered up. His cultivation, when compared to Yenda, was more than a grade lower. However, his magical weapon was much more powerful than Yenda's. If his cultivation was not good enough, then he would have to use his magical weapon to crush this bastard to death. Feeling Ningcheng being suppressed by his murderous aura, Yenda sneered in his heart, a trivial soul essence cultivator. He opened his mouth and issued a burst of ear-piercing murderous sound. A circle of murderous aura, invisible to the naked eye, burst out from his body. For the people with weaker cultivations, at this moment, they were completely shocked. After Ningcheng received Shi Qianghua's reminder, he was already on high alert. At this time when Yenda sent out a circle of murderous sound, Ningcheng was even more unwilling to wait for even a moment. Under the crazy stimulation of his spiritual consciousness and true essence, Ningcheng once again brought out the everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow. Yenda, on seeing the everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow, once again sneered in his heart. He was sure that Ningcheng would find it difficult to control this blue Thunder City's shadow. As long as he bombarded it with his countless slaughtering wheel blades, Ningcheng would absolutely not be able to bring out this Thunder City's shadow for the third time. His slaughtering sound light had been cultivated from the hurricanes and the spatial turbulences of the Sifting Orchid Star, so how could a trivial soul essence cultivator, who had just arrived at the Sifting Orchid Star, dare to fight against it? Yenda's slaughtering sound light suddenly rose by a notch, while the 100 blades also turned violent at the same time. Kaka. Amid the sounds, Ningcheng's everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow once again broke apart. At this time, Ningcheng's face was pale. In Yenda's view, Ningcheng was bound to be tied up. Unfortunately, he did not understand Ningcheng. If it was replaced by Yin Kongchan, then she would have definitely known that Ningcheng was preparing a backup plan. Ka. Another burst of shattering sounds arrived, as Ningcheng's everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow once again disappeared. Almost at the same moment when the everlasting blue Thunder City's shadow disappeared, a huge mottled copper coin appeared in the air. This copper coin instantly grew in size. It was as if the vault of heaven had suddenly fallen down, giving people an incomparably oppressive feeling. Ningcheng's face turned even paler. As his cultivation improved, it became more and more difficult to bring out the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. However, at the same time, the effect of bringing out the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin was also getting bigger and bigger. Every time the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin refined a layer of restrictions, it would require several times more true essence and spiritual consciousness to bring out. This was also the reason why Ningcheng rarely used the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin against his enemies. Yenda, at this moment, also felt this kind of oppression. The next moment he unexpectedly realized that his 100 Blade's magical weapon had lost contact with his mind. Is this the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin? The first one to speak out in shock was not Yenda, but rather Qi Lu. Qi Lu was suppressed by Shi Qianghua's blue-colored sword light. As such, even if he had a lot of methods, he could not display any of them at this moment. He did not think that Ningcheng not only had the shadow of the Thunder City, but also the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. The 5 elements treasure fall copper coin was an extremely precious magical weapon from the ancient times. Moreover, many crucible transformation cultivators did not even know about this magical weapon. Qi Li's eyes turned even more fiery, while Yenda's mind was completely shocked at this moment. When Ningcheng had brought out the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin, he had already calculated Yenda's reaction. For a magical weapon to be swept away for no reason, no matter who it was, they would definitely be surprised for a very short period of time. He had been waiting for this moment, so how could he waste such an excellent time? Ningcheng was very clear that he could only bring out the 5 elements treasure fall copper coin once, and then he would have to rest for a long time before he could bring it out a second time. This thing was different from the everlasting Blue Thunder City, as it could not bring out a shadow at all. Bringing out the cosmic true devil axe, countless angry axe lines were just like fallen leaves in the autumn wind, completely sealing off Yenda's surroundings. At this time, a black spear descended from the sky, as it streaked through the air. Yenda finally reacted. He no longer cared about his 100 blades, nor did he continue to erupt with his murderous imposing manner to crush Ningcheng. At this moment, the most important thing for him was to escape from this calamity. As long as he could escape from this calamity, then Ningcheng would be able to kill him. He could feel that this was Ningcheng's hidden card. Although the dense angry axe lines around him were incomparably powerful, but Yenda still did not put them in his eyes. Just as Yenda was about to rush out of the encirclement of the axe lines, his whole body stirred up a sail-like ball. Ningcheng's angry axe-killing line exploded on top of Yenda's sail, giving out a sound like that of leather being torn apart. At most, it was only able to suppress the sail to a small size, but was not able to tear apart Yenda's sail. Yenda, relying on the sail that he stirred up, quickly rushed out of the dense axe line-killing lights of Ningcheng. The formidable axe intent for Yenda was like a decoration. It was simply unable to affect even half a shred of his concentration. Just as Yenda was about to rush out of Ningcheng's axe line-killing lights, the spear shadow that cut through the sky had already arrived in front of Yenda. Although it was silent, but it had a kind of sovereign overlooking the world's aura. This kind of aura made Yenda feel suffocated and desperate. At this moment, he found that no matter where he went, he would definitely be torn apart by this spear. This was not a spear, but rather a judgment of his fate. The powerful aura of this spear suppressed him to the point that he could not even make a choice. Such a powerful spear intent. Yenda's voice was filled with a trace of despair. He had never seen such a powerful spear intent. This was not an ordinary spear intent. This was a spear intent that could decide his fate. At this moment, he understood that the opposite party had taken away his 100 blades, and made him dodge the axe line killing lights with all his strength, all for the sake of this spear. Puff blood splattered everywhere. Yenda's entire head turned into nothingness under this spear. Chapter 343. Ningcheng's spear was simply too amazing, even if Qi Lu did not want to pay attention to it. Although Ningcheng's magical weapon was really good, but Qi Lu did not think that Ningcheng, a trivial soul essence 3rd level cultivator, would be able to kill a soul sculpting 4th level cultivator. Moreover, it was a single shot to the head, without any fancy moves. It was not that he had not seen people jumping levels to kill. He had even seen soul essence cultivators killing soul sculpting cultivators. However, most of them were at the late stages of the soul essence realm. Moreover, Qi Lu was very clear about Yenda's strength. He was definitely not an ordinary soul-sculpting 4th-level cultivator. In Qi Li's view, there was no soul essence 3rd-level cultivator who could kill Yenda. Even Ningcheng would not be able to do so. Now that Ningcheng killed Yenda, the only explanation was that Ningcheng's magical weapon was too powerful. Using these two magical weapons, one could kill a soul-sculpting cultivator, while still in the soul essence realm. Qi Li's heart was burning with eagerness. He had to obtain these two magical weapons. Although he was the only one here, he was not worried at all. Even if Ningcheng was even more powerful, it would not affect him even in the slightest. The difference in strength was not just 1 or 2 points. Even if he used a magical weapon, it would not be able to make up for it. Thinking until here, the black flag in Qi Li's hands rolled up a patch of dark clouds. As it rumbled toward Shi Qianghua, Ningcheng did not immediately step forward to help Shi Qianghua. He was also aware that the difference between his cultivation and Qi Li's was too great. If he directly went forward, then he would not be able to help much. As for him killing Yenda, it was indeed because the advantage of magical weapons was just too great. However, the one who finally succeeded was the spear that he had comprehended from the Thunder City. Qi Li's attack once again intensified. Shi Qianghua could instantly feel it. The cyan-colored sword curtain also gave rise to a sword wind, which was similar to overlapping mountain peaks, as it tore apart the dark clouds with its roaring momentum. Qi Li suddenly issued a long and loud roar. At the same time, the large patch of dark clouds rolled up by the black flag transformed into a huge black dragon. This black dragon merely opened its mouth and completely swallowed up Shi Qianghua's cyan-colored sword curtain. Not waiting for Shi Qianghua to react, the black dragon once again opened its mouth, once again spitting out the cyan-colored sword curtain that it had swallowed up. However, these cyan sword beams transformed into thousands of black flag blades. Each of these flag blades contained a violent killing intent and a sharp edge. Not only did they lock down the surrounding space, but they also contained a powerful tearing aura. Qi Li truly wanted to kill Shi Qianghua. Although Shi Qianghua was a beautiful woman, but to have such a cultivation furnace accompanying her in the sifting orchid star, it would certainly be a good thing. But in front of Ningcheng's magical weapons, Shi Qianghua, even if Shi Qianghua was more beautiful, he would not care about it. Boom boom boom. Shi Qianghua once again blasted out a cyan-colored sword curtain, and the tens of thousands of black flag blade lights, causing explosive sounds to erupt. Shi Qiu tu, Shi Chang to Shi Lu not to, Shi Qi Qiu, Shi Qiu, and the Lu and the to say to Cheng. That. Seeing that the cyan-colored sword curtain was about to hit Shi Qianghua, Ningcheng, who was about to step forward, quickly brought out the everlasting blue Thunder City. The shadow of the everlasting blue Thunder City immediately blocked the remaining black flag blade lights. Catcha a sound emerged. Just by blocking the shadow of these flag blade lights, the blue Thunder City shadow instantly shattered. Ningcheng and Shi Qianghua both flew out upside down, while simultaneously spitting out a mouthful of blood. However, Ningcheng had also helped Shi Qianghua to block this calamity, preventing Shi Qianghua from sustaining serious injuries. How are you? Shi Qianghua anxiously rushed to support Ningcheng. She knew that it was due to her own carelessness, otherwise Ningcheng would not have sustained such injuries. Ningcheng wiped the blood from the corners of his mouth and spoke. I'm fine, my strength is still too far away from his. Qianghua, you just have to hold him back. Don't ask for any merit, as long as you don't get injured. Ningcheng sent a sound transmission to Shi Qianghua. He could see that Shi Qianghua's strength was not much worse than Qi Li's. It was just that Shi Qianghua's methods were a bit weaker, and was not very decisive. I know, I will not let him hurt you again. As Shi Qianghua spoke, her imposing aura instantly soared, while the blue sword in her hands automatically gave out bursts of clear sounds. She really had not gone all out before, but the reason why she did not go all out was completely different from Qi Li's. She had placed a part of her mind on Ningcheng. She was afraid that if she went all out, Ningcheng would end up in danger, and she would not have the means to save him. Now that Ningcheng had killed his opponent, and was even injured because of her negligence, why would she still hold back her strength? Seeing Shi Qianghua's imposing aura skyrocketing, Qi Lu knew that this white-robed woman had not come out with her full strength. It looks like he would not necessarily be able to kill this woman, just by relying on the flag blade lights. As they fought once again, the hard sand and stones around Shi Qianghua and Qi Lu instantly turned into fine powder, while the blue-colored sword curtain turned into several tens of feet long cutting blade lights. However, Qi Li's black banner, which had transformed into a banner dragon, was always able to devour these terrifying cutting sword lights. On the surface, because Shi Qianghua no longer held back, although the black flag dragon was able to swallow up the long sword lights, it could not spit them out in a timely manner like before. Even if it occasionally spat out some of the baleful aura from the flag dragon, it would not be able to change the overall situation. For a time, no one could kill the other. Ning Qing did not directly participate in the battle. He certainly knew what the advantages were and what the disadvantages were. Compared to Qi Lu, his cultivation was just too poor. However, he had his own advantages. He was now a Tier 7 array formation grandmaster. If he did not take advantage of this advantage, then he would have to be stupid. Ning Qing, with his fastest speed, arranged a large array formation around the two of them. Entrapment array, killing array, chain entanglement array. As long as Ning Qing could think of it, and could arrange it, he had already arranged it. He even arranged a concealment array formation. Qi Lu, on seeing Ning Qing arrange an array formation, sneered in his heart. A trivial soul essence cultivator dared to use an array formation to trap him? Even if he did not move and let Ning Qing arrange an array formation, it would not be able to stop him. Despite thinking like this, he still carefully observed Ning Qing's array formation. When he saw that Ning Qing had only arranged a level 3 entrapment array, he did not even have the interest to continue watching. For him, there was only one enemy, and that was Shi Qianghua. Do not look at how he and Shi Qianghua were in a stalemate, but he still had a trump card that he had not brought out. Once his flag dragon swallowed a certain amount of sword curtains, he would then let his opponent die without a burial ground. The more sword curtains the opponent blasted out, the more powerful the flag dragon would be. No one knew how terrifying his black flag magical weapon was. It was a magical weapon that could only be used after the enemy had struck. Ning Qing certainly did not want to arrange a level 3 entrapment array to trap Qi Lu. He knew that even if the level 3 killing array exploded in front of Qi Lu, it would not be able to do anything to him. After arranging the level 3 entrapment array, he then arranged a concealment array formation. Outside of this concealment array formation was the real array formation that he wanted to arrange, the level 6 entrapment array and the level 6 killing array. It would take too long to arrange the level 7 killing array, as such it was not suitable for him to do so at this moment. However, he could arrange the level 6 killing array, the level 6 killing array, the level 6 entrapment array, and the level 6 strangulation array. With these 3 array formations, he did not believe that they would not be able to trap this red-haired ghost. Even if they could not trap him, he could still blow up the 3 level 6 entrapment array formations. Now that Qi Lu did not care about his level 3 array formations, it was for the best. Ning Qing was clear that even if Shi Qianghua's strength was not worse than Qi Li's, but when it came to the degree of cunning, Shi Qianghua was far inferior to Qi Lu. Therefore, when he was arranging the array formations, he was constantly observing the fight between the two of them. He soon realized that something was wrong. It stood to reason that Qi Lu wanted to kill the two of them. As such, it was impossible for him to be in a defensive state. But now that Qi Lu was in a defensive state, no matter how many sword curtains Shi Qianghua blasted out, they would all be swallowed up by Qi Li's flag dragon. Only occasionally would it counterattack once or twice, but the strength of the counterattack was simply not enough to threaten Shi Qianghua. This was definitely not Qi Li's true cultivation. Thinking of this, Ning Qing quickly sent a sound transmission to Shi Qianghua. Qianghua, there is something wrong with that red-haired ghost flag dragon. You do not need to attack, just defend. Shi Qianghua also felt that something was wrong, but she could not see what was wrong with it. But when Ning Qing reminded her, she immediately sobered up. Qi Li's performance was just too low-key. This fellow's real strength, she was afraid that he was even a little bit stronger than her. So why was he being beaten? She immediately listened to Ning Qing's words, and immediately put away the cyan curtain sword lights that she had blasted out, and instead brought out a round shield. although there was still a cyan-colored sword curtain, but it was not an attack, but rather a defensive wall. When Shi Qianghua switched from attack to defense, Qilu immediately became aware of it. He immediately felt surprised in his heart. Did the other party see through the threat of his magical weapon? He could also detonate the flag dragon at this moment, but Qilu was very clear in his heart that the sword curtain that the flag dragon had swallowed could at most seriously injure the other party, and could not kill the other party. Therefore, he had to swallow some of the true essence that he had blasted out of the sword curtain to kill the other party. This magical weapon of his had a very strange name, called Parasitic Flag Dragon. When facing the enemy, one could use their own true essence to transform the magical weapon into a black flag dragon shadow. This black flag dragon could swallow any attack from the opponent, and then turn that attack into its own attack, before spitting it out towards the opponent. This was just one of its functions. The most important trump card was that this flag dragon shadow could self-destruct. Moreover, after self-destructing, it would not have much effect on the magical weapon itself. The only drawback was that the flag dragon shadow would have to swallow even more of the opponent's sharp attacks before it self-destructed. The more attacks it swallowed, the more terrifying the self-destruct would be, because it could only swallow the opponent's true essence attacks, which was the prerequisite for self-destruction. It was also called Parasitic Flag Dragon. Now that Shi Qianghua did not attack him, the flag dragon could not swallow the sword curtain, and could not form such a powerful self-destruction condition. Qilu felt anxious in his heart, but he was also not willing to self-destruct like this. He believed that the other party must have taken a break before attacking again. As long as he continued to fight back, the other party would definitely attack him again. Thinking of this, Qilu's black flag dragon continuously spat out a variety of baleful qi flag blades, which were even more ferocious than before. However, Shi Qianghua had already experienced it once, and was able to resist it. As Qilu's black flag dragon spat out more and more baleful qi flag blades, Qilu became more and more anxious in his heart. If this went on, the power of the flag dragon's self-destruction would also become smaller and smaller. Once the flag dragon spat out all the true essence and sword lights that it had swallowed, the flag dragon would no longer be able to self-destruct. Just as Qilu was feeling anxious, Ningqing suddenly rushed into the battle circle of the two people, and chopped down at Qilu with his great axe. Qilu was overjoyed in his heart. He was worried that no one would attack the flag dragon, and Ningqing had finally arrived. As long as he killed this soul essence cultivator, would he still be afraid that this white-robed female cultivator would not go all out? Chapter 344. When Ningqing rushed in, he was already prepared, as he simultaneously brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City and the cosmic True Devil Axe. But Qilu also made up his mind to kill Ningqing first. At the same time, the black flag dragon shot out countless flag blades. An octagonal copper hammer also shot out. Ningqing simply did not intend to fight against Qilu. After he brought out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he immediately used the twin wings of the heavenly clouds to cast a teleportation while holding Shi Qianghua. Ningqing did this not because he had the twin wings of the heavenly clouds, but because he had arranged this array formation. When Shi Qianghua heard that Ningqing wanted to leave, she immediately understood Ningqing's intentions. Even so, she still arranged a sword curtain behind the everlasting Blue Thunder City. Boom! Countless flag edges and octagonal copper hammers bombarded onto Ningqing's cosmic True Devil Axe and Thunder City. The True Devil Axe did not have the ability to resist, and was blasted away. At the same time, the Thunder City also broke into pieces with a cracking sound. If not for Shi Qianghua's sword curtain, then even if Ningqing had the everlasting Blue Thunder City's shadow to block it, he would have already lost most of his life. A sound emerged, as Shi Qianghua's sword curtain once again shattered. The instant the twin wings of the heavenly clouds flashed, the octagonal copper hammer's hammer shadow struck Ningqing's back. Although Ningqing instantly teleported away, he still ended up injured once again. Twin heavenly cloud wings? Qilu was able to clearly see the thing that Ningqing had used to escape from his hands, as his eyes almost burst out a golden light. Just how many good things did this guy have? Without waiting for Qi Lu to give chase, the surrounding space began to tremble violently. At the same time, a violent explosion rang out. Qi Li's complexion turned livid with anger. A trivial third-grade trap array actually dared to self-destruct in front of him? This guy was so stupid, so how did he get so many good things? Almost at the same time as the explosion, Qi Lu took a step forward. Even if he had to pay a great price, he had to kill these two cultivators and take everything for himself. Bang! An invisible barrier blocked Qi Li's path. Qi Li's spiritual sense swept out, and he was shocked to discover that he was already in a level 6 entrapment formation. Moreover, this level 6 trap array was hidden by a concealment array. Even for him, it would take him several breaths of time to get out of the grade 6 trap formation. However, before he could react, the surrounding space once again went berserk. Not good. This kid is going to self-destruct his array formation. The self-destruction of a level 3 trap array did not affect him at all, but the self-destruction of a level 6 trap array would definitely injure him. At this time he finally understood Ning Cheng's craftiness. He had completely used the rank 3 array formation to confuse him, while in fact he had arranged a rank 6 array formation. It was too late for him to regret it. He knew that he couldn't be blamed for this. If someone said that such a young cultivator could arrange a rank 6 array formation, he would never believe it. Moreover, this level 6 formation was completed in such a short period of time. Qi Lu knew that it was impossible to rush out at this moment. He could only protect his body and minimize his injuries. Bang bang! The terrifying explosion rolled up a terrifying wave, and the berserk aura formed a huge depression in the center of the explosion. After a series of explosions, even if Qi Lu protected his whole body, he was still injured by the explosions. But this was not the end, as a series of continuous explosions rang out, causing Qi Lu to finally feel fear. He did not think that this soul essence cultivator would arrange more than one rank 6 self-detonation array formation. At this time, how could he still have the leisure to observe the killing arrays that Ning Cheng had arranged? He put all his energy into protecting himself. The second and third killing arrays self-detonated. The power of the killing arrays self-detonated was several times more powerful than the entrapment arrays. Ning Cheng's rank 6 array formation self-detonated. Even the Severing Emotions Dao Sec's Grand Defensive Array, which was close to a rank 9 Grand Defensive Array, would tremble incessantly. Not to mention that Qi Lu was only a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator. Even if a Crucible Transformation 7th level cultivator was powerful, it could not be compared to the Severing Emotions Dao Sec's Mountain Protecting Grand Array. After the 3 consecutive array formations self-detonated, Qi Lu was seriously injured at this moment. However, Ning Cheng knew that this was the time to take Qi Li's life. Even if he was injured, the black spear in his hand did not hesitate to shoot out. Shi Qianghua and Ning Cheng had been together for a long time. She knew that Ning Cheng was not the same as her, a person who could not bear being bullied. When Ning Cheng detonated the 3 rank 6 array formations, she knew that Ning Cheng wanted to sneak attack Qi Lu at the same time. There was no need for Ning Cheng to remind her, as the cyan-colored sword light in her hand shot out. This sword strike contained Shi Qianghua's full strength, which directly tore apart the surrounding air. Qi Lu spurted out a few mouthfuls of blood, causing his true essence to turn chaotic. He knew that even if he wanted Ning Cheng's things, he had to leave this place. This puny soul essence cultivator was too treacherous and cunning. Due to his own carelessness, he ended up falling into his trap. As long as these two people were still in the sifting orchid star, he, Qi Lu, would be able to kill them. Next time, he would never make such a low-level mistake. Unfortunately, it was just his wishful thinking. Not to mention that Shi Qianghua's cultivation was almost the same as his. Even if there was a huge disparity between them, at this time when Shi Qianghua stabbed out with her full strength, he would not be able to resist it. The several feet-long cyan-colored sword light tore through everything around it, as all of the killing power gathered towards it. If Qi Lu was still safe and sound, he would have been able to resist this sword attack. However, he could only barely avoid it. Even so, the imposing manner of the powerful sword light still bound him. Puff! A bloody light flashed, as Qi Lu, who was already riddled with wounds, directly fell down. Not waiting for him to land, Ning Cheng's long spear had already arrived. The spear intent was extremely terrifying, bringing with it a murderous aura. If Qi Lu was not injured, then he would not have cared about this spear. But now he did not care about it, not to mention that he could not. Even if he wanted to avoid this spear, he would not be able to do it. Bang! The black spear directly pierced through his glabella, causing a fist-sized hole to burst open. Ning Cheng powerlessly fell to the ground. In his heart, he was secretly horrified at the sturdiness of Qi Li's head. If replaced with an ordinary cultivator, then his spear would have definitely turned the other party's head into nothingness. But in Qi Li's body, it only left behind a big hole. Shi Qianghua's cyan-colored sword promptly reversed. Even if Qi Li's corporeal body was more solid, he would not be able to block Shi Qianghua's sword. Putong, a huge head fell to the ground. Shi Qianghua immediately threw out a flame from her backhand. I'm not willing. Qi Li's life essence's tearing cry came out from the fireball. He really was not willing. He had painstakingly cultivated in the sifting orchid star for so many years, and was just about to go back and claim to be the overlord of the sifting orchid star. Yet he was unexpectedly killed by 2 ants in his eyes. If he was willing, then it would truly be a strange thing. Shi Qianghua did not care about Qi Lu, and quickly came to Ning Cheng's side. Ning Cheng pointed to the things on the ground and spoke. Qianghua, collect these things, we will leave immediately. There is a volcano here. Since Qi Lu and Yenda could come here, then maybe there would be others. Shi Qianghua understood the meaning of Ning Cheng's words. Compared to Qi Lu and Yenda's things, the artifact crafting materials that came out from the eruption of this volcano were really not surprising. When she heard Ning Cheng's words, she put away the things as fast as she could, and quickly disappeared with Ning Cheng in her arms. Ning Cheng was not wrong. He and Shi Qianghua had just left when another person came to this place. This person was a cultivator wearing a gray robe. When he saw Qi Li's corpse, he exclaimed out in surprise, "Is there still someone who could kill Qi Lu?" Then he turned around and walked away, not caring about the scarlet brilliant crystals that came out from the volcano. Ning Cheng's injuries were not light, but for a soul essence cultivator, as long as he did not hurt his foundation, he would be able to recover quickly. After an hour, Shi Qianghua finally stopped. In front of her and Ning Cheng was a basin filled with flashes of lightning. This place reminded Ning Cheng of the Thunder Domain Marsh in the Law's Way, but the flashes of lightning here were much more powerful compared to the ones in the Thunder Domain Marsh. After passing through this Thunder Domain basin, the space will become unstable, as spatial turbulences will appear everywhere. You have to follow me as closely as possible, do not stray too far from me. Shi Qianghua deliberately stopped to warn Ning Cheng. How do we pass through this Thunder Domain? Do you want to take a detour? Ning Cheng looked at the Thunder Domain basin filled with flashes of lightning, and felt somewhat apprehensive in his heart. Don't worry, the lightning arcs in this basin follow a regular pattern. As long as we follow a specific path, it would not be a problem. Even if we take a detour, we would not be able to bypass it, as there are mountain peaks on both sides that even crucible transformation cultivators would not be able to reach. Moreover, there is an endless volcanic lake on the outside of the mountain peaks. After passing through the volcanic lake, we do not know the end of the vast sea. As such, there is no way for us to take a detour. Now you just have to follow me closely. As Shi Qianghua finished speaking, she immediately flew into the basin filled with flashes of lightning. Ning Cheng quickly followed Shi Qianghua, and soon discovered that every time Shi Qianghua landed, it was always the place where the lightning was the weakest. Even if there were a few traces of lightning, it would not matter if they fell on their bodies. Shi Qianghua's speed was very fast, and in just half an hour, the two of them had already passed through the Thunder Light Basin. After passing through the Thunder Light Basin, Ning Cheng immediately felt a kind of tearing. It was as if he could be torn into pieces by the spatial turbulence at any time, causing him to completely focus his attention on the surroundings around him. This is the spatial turbulence. You must be careful. Once you encounter a violent turbulence, you must quickly avoid it. You must not rush into it. When I was very young, I once saw a cultivator with a very strong body forging cultivation. Because of rushing into the spatial turbulence, he ended up being torn into pieces by the spatial turbulence. After coming to this place, Shi Qianghua's tone also became even more cautious. Ning Qing nodded to show that he understood. He saw Shi Qianghua freely changing directions in the spatial turbulence, causing him to suspect that Shi Qianghua was a body-forging cultivator. However, now was not the time to ask about it. After the two of them found a safe place to rest, Ning Qing was ready to ask Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua's speed was incomparably fast, as she brought Ning Qing through the spatial turbulence. In just a day, they arrived at a narrow valley mouth. From time to time, the valley mouth spewed out a burst of hot air, while the heavy smell of sulfur made people wonder if a volcano would erupt at any time. If a person was in this narrow valley mouth, then once the volcano erupted, even if they could escape, it would be too late. What surprised Ning Qing was that Shi Qianghua unexpectedly jumped down into the valley, and even called out to him, "Let's go down together." Although he suspected that this place was extremely dangerous, but since Shi Qianghua had already jumped down, Ning Qing also did not hesitate, as he also jumped down. Chapter 345. The smell of sulfur at the bottom of the canyon grew even stronger. Ning Qing swept out with his spiritual consciousness, and found that this place also restricted one's spiritual consciousness. Shi Qianghua's 7 or 8 turns actually opened up the terrain, and after the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Shi Qianghua brought Ning Qing to the side of a volcanic lake with boiling magma. If Ning Qing was not already a soul essence cultivator, then he simply would not be able to stand in this place. "Hey, someone has been here." Shi Qianghua stroked a huge stone on the edge of the volcanic lake, and spoke out in surprise. Ning Qing spoke up with a smile. "Many people have come to the sifting orchid star, so it is not surprising for someone to find this place." Shi Qianghua shook her head and spoke. "No, even ordinary crucible transformation cultivators would not dare to casually come to this place. There are various kinds of natural restrictions in this place. Moreover, the volcano could erupt at any time. Once the volcano erupts, even the crucible transformation cultivators who entered this place would not be able to escape." "How do you know that the volcano here will not erupt?" Ning Qing asked in doubt. Shi Qianghua casually spoke up. "I don't know, maybe in the next moment this volcano will erupt, or maybe even after countless years it would not erupt." "Then why do you still dare to come here?" Ning Qing was shocked. He did not think so. In this place, the possibility of a volcano erupting at any time was even greater. Previously, he and Shi Qianghua had casually encountered a sudden eruption of a volcano, not to mention in this place where the smell of sulfur was so strong. Shi Qianghua pulled Ning Qing's hand and spoke. "Uncle, you told me that one must have the heart of a powerhouse in order to become a powerhouse. If one was afraid of even a volcano, then one would never be able to become a powerhouse. When I was very young, I went in and out of this place by myself. I never cared about volcanic eruptions." Ning Qing angrily said, "That uncle you of yours is an idiot. Strong heart my ass, he is just a moron. Letting a little girl live in this place, and even wanting to teach her the heart of the strong, was uncle you an idiot? Can one become a powerhouse just by being unafraid of death?" This was the most moronic statement that Ning Qing had ever heard. Rather than saying that this was the heart of an expert, it was better to say that he was deceiving himself and hoping that the volcano would not erupt. Hearing Ning Qing scolding Uncle Yu, Shi Qianghua quickly spoke up. "My husband, Uncle Yu's kindness towards me is as heavy as a mountain." "All right, I won't scold him. Let's hurry up and get out of here. This place is completely out of our control. In case the volcano erupts, then even if we wanted to leave, we would not be able to." Ning Qing helplessly spoke. He felt that if he and Uncle Yu were together, then they would not have anything in common. Although Ning Qing wanted to get out quickly, it was not that Ning Qing was afraid of death, but he felt that it was not necessary at all. Shi Qianghua gave a slight smile and spoke. "When I was 10 years old, I already had a rank 5 imperial body in body forging. Even if a volcano erupted, it would not be able to harm me. I used to come here often to temper my body." "What?" Ning Qing blankly stared at Shi Qianghua. Shi Qianghua had such a delicate, soft and fragrant body. Yet she was actually bathing in this volcanic lake? Were body refinement cultivators that powerful? He suddenly remembered the question he wanted to ask before and immediately asked, Qianghua, are you a body-forging cultivator? Shi Qianghua did not answer Ning Cheng's words, but rather pulled Ning Cheng's hand and spoke, Come with me, I'll tell you slowly. Ning Cheng followed Shi Qianghua and bypassed the volcanic lake, before arriving at an inconspicuous stone wall. He saw Shi Qianghua standing in front of the stone wall, and did not continue forward. As such, he immediately began to observe the stone wall. Ning Cheng looked at it for a while, and found that there was nothing strange about the stone wall, nor was there any concealment array formation. However, Shi Qianghua took out a jade card and inlaid it on the stone wall. The next moment, the stone wall suddenly issued a creak sound, before a cave entrance appeared. I can't even see that there is a hidden entrance here. What kind of array formation is this? Ning Cheng spoke in surprise. I don't know, as long as I can remember. It has always been here. Shi Qianghua spoke, as she entered the cave. Ning Cheng quickly followed behind her. After Shi Qianghua took out the jade card, the stone wall once again closed up, and was no different from before. Walking along the path of the cave for only about 10 meters, Ning Cheng saw a very ordinary wooden door. Shi Qianghua pushed open the wooden door, and a stone chamber with a radius of more than 30 square meters appeared in front of Ning Cheng. On the four walls of the stone chamber, there were also some clear light stones. Ning Cheng had just entered the stone chamber, when he felt a rich spiritual qi. This spiritual qi was not even half a point worse than the spiritual qi that he had cultivated in the small spiritual domain. The stone chamber was elegant and clean, with a jade table and a few jade chairs in the middle. In addition to that, there were also 2 doors on the side of the stone chamber. Ning Cheng swept out with his spiritual consciousness, and found that these were 2 rooms. Inside the room, there was not only a praying mat for cultivation, but also a bed and some simple daily necessities. No wonder you can cultivate so fast. Cultivating in this place, it is simply amazing. Ning Cheng spoke with a sigh. He immediately fell in love with this place. Shi Qianghua, on seeing Ning Cheng like this place very much, felt even more happy in her heart. Uncle, you said that this is one of the safest places in the sifting orchid star. Even if the volcano outside erupted, it would be safe and sound in here. Shi Qianghua's words suddenly came to a halt. At the same time, she took a few steps forward, and eagerly grabbed a jade strip and a talisman from the corner of the stone wall. After she finished reading the jade strip, her complexion immediately changed. What's going on? Ning Cheng hastily asked. Shi Qianghua did not show the jade strip to Ning Cheng, and hesitated for a moment before speaking. Uncle, you came back. This jade strip and the jade talisman were left behind by him. He asked me to immediately leave after I came here. Ning Cheng did not continue to ask, since Shi Qianghua did not want to say anything. Then why should he ask again? Seemingly influenced by the message in the jade strip, Shi Qianghua turned silent. Ning Cheng frowned, and was just about to speak, when Shi Qianghua suddenly took out 2 rings and handed them to Ning Cheng and spoke. These are the rings of Qi Lu and Yenda. You can open them and see what is inside. Ning Cheng nodded, and did not say anything. If Shi Qianghua felt that she should tell him, then she would definitely tell him. With the relationship between them as husband and wife, what else was there to hide? He quickly opened Yenda's ring, and Ning Cheng was shocked by the piles of materials and a variety of high-level spiritual grasses inside Yenda's ring. There were at least thousands of rank 5 and rank 6 spiritual grasses, as well as more than a dozen rank 7 spiritual grasses. There were also piles and piles of materials for crafting artifacts. Although there were not many spirit stones, but these things were much more valuable than spirit stones. Ning Cheng could not wait to open Qi Li's ring, but to Ning Cheng's surprise, Qi Li's ring was filled with spirit stones. A pile of spirit stones was at least 200 to 300 million. This made Ning Cheng suspect that this person had dug out a spirit stone mine. Otherwise, where could he get so many spirit stones? He had worked hard to sell a large barrel of spiritual enhancement true nectar, but in the end he only managed to raise 80 million spirit stones. Now the 80 million spirit stones had almost been used up by him. What made Ning Cheng even more pleasantly surprised was that there were 23 best quality spirit stones inside Qi Li's ring. In addition to the black flag magical weapon that was not inside the ring, Qi Li's ring also contained 7 or 8 different kinds of offensive or defensive magical weapons. Even the flight-type magical weapon was an excellent quality low-grade true artifact airship. The rank 6 and below spiritual grasses were several times more than what was inside Yenda's ring, while there were also dozens of rank 7 spiritual grasses. In addition to this, Ningqing also saw a spiritual grass that was preserved separately. This spiritual grass was surrounded by a thin layer of frost and was tightly protected by the restrictions inside the jade box. This turned out to be a rank 9 spiritual grass frost sprout. Initially, Suingde had burned her own lifespan to save him. As such, Ningqing was planning to look for this frost sprout to help Suingde. Ningqing did not expect that the first thing he found in the sifting orchid star was not the heavenly cusp flower, but rather a frost sprout. This was really a pleasant surprise. Ningqing certainly would not give this frost sprout to Suingde. This frost sprout was incomparably precious, and its value was not much lower than the underworld soul flower. Qianghua, this time we really made a fortune. This Qi Lu is really too rich. Ningqing could not help but speak out in joy. Sure, Qianghua could feel the joy in Ningqing's voice, as her face also revealed a smile, as she spoke to Ningqing. Wait a minute. Saying that, Shi Qianghua entered one of the rooms, and a moment later, Shi Qianghua came out holding a jade strip. She handed the jade strip to Ningqing and spoke. Take a look at this first. Ningqing took the jade strip and swept it with his spiritual consciousness, and soon looked up at Shi Qianghua in shock. Qianghua, is this a complete body forging cultivation method? Shi Qianghua nodded. This was left behind by Uncle Yu. I heard that it was also modified, and is not necessarily the same as the original. But in the Yixing mainland, this is definitely one of the most complete body forging cultivation methods. Body forging is divided into 9 realms. The first 3 realms are for the spiritual body, the middle 3 realms are for the imperial body, and the last 3 realms are for the god body. Ordinary cultivators who do not undergo body forging can only be considered as having a mortal body. Although many cultivators do not undergo body forging, but after their cultivation reaches a certain level, their corporeal bodies would also become more powerful. However, even if they become more powerful, they would not be able to compare with cultivators who specialize in body forging. So you are already at the 5th realm of body forging? Ningqing remembered that Shi Qianghua had said that she had a rank 5 imperial body, and immediately came to understand. Shi Qianghua gave an sound and continued. When I was 10 years old, I already had a rank 5 imperial body, but in the past 20 years, I have not made even the slightest bit of progress. I originally planned to come here to body forging with you. But, Ningqing frowned. Shi Qianghua must have come here because of the jade strip from before. He was not a male chauvinist, but Uncle Yu had told Shi Qianghua to leave, and Shi Qianghua wanted to leave, which made him feel somewhat uncomfortable in his heart. Shi Qianghua could feel Ningqing's thoughts. She walked over to Ningqing's side, and sat down next to Ningqing, before grabbing Ningqing's hand and spoke. My husband, I will be back soon. Uncle Yu left me a void-cleaving talisman. After I finish my work, I will come back here to accompany you, and then go back to Jiangzhou with you to see junior sister Ruolin. If you want to do something, then let's go together. One more person would be more strength. Ningqing spoke without hesitation. Although Shi Qianghua's cultivation was higher than his, but she was too kind. If he did not follow her, he would always feel somewhat uneasy. Shi Qianghua handed the jade strip in her hands to Ningqing. This is what Uncle Yu left for me. You can take a look at it first. Chapter 346. Little Miss, this old slave found a natural divinatory magnetic field on the sifting orchid star, which had already calculated the position of the city master and the matriarch. When I came back, you were no longer here. This old slave knew that Little Miss was safe and sound, so I went back to look for the city master and the matriarch. If Little Miss comes back, you can use this void-cleaving talisman to go back immediately to the Qinwu city. The sooner the better. This old slave Uxian. Ningqing put down the jade strip and asked in doubt. Qianghua, is your father the city master of a city? Which continent is the Qinwu city in? Shi Qianghua held Ning Cheng's hand tightly and spoke. I have never heard of the Qinwu city. Since you need to use the void-cleaving talisman to go there, then it should not be in the Yixing mainland. Because I only have a void-cleaving talisman, there is no way to take you with me. Moreover, your cultivation is still too low. Stay here and cultivate. I will definitely come back. Ning Cheng smiled and spoke. Qianghua, did you forget that I have a miniature world? I can take people with me. Shi Qianghua shook her head. A miniature world is a living space. The grade of the void-cleaving talisman left behind by Uncle Yu might be too low, and would not be able to take away the living space. If you forcibly take it away, it might even cause the laws of space to explode, and any living beings in that space would be twisted into nothingness. Ning Cheng's smile suddenly froze from the bottom of his heart. He did not want Shi Qianghua to leave. My husband, when my parents were attacked, I had just been born. My parents handed me over to Uncle Yu, and Uncle Yu took me away. Over the years, Uncle Yu has been calculating the whereabouts of my parents. Now that Uncle Yu has returned, he must have confirmed the news. My husband, your body-forging body is only at grade 2. By the time I come back, you should have already cultivated to grade 5. Shi Qianghua continued to explain in a soft voice. Ning Cheng swallowed the words that he was about to say. He could not let Shi Qianghua not look for her parents, right? After a long while he spoke up with difficulty. Qianghua, how did Uncle Yu bring you here? Uncle Yu burned 1,000 years of his lifespan, and together with my parents, tore open a gap in space. Then with the help of countless void-escaping talismans and a high-grade flight-type true artifact, it took us nearly 3 years to arrive here. Shi Qianghua explained. Ning Cheng frowned. Qianghua, since there is a void-cleaving talisman, why did Uncle Yu not use the cleaving talisman to take you away? Also, why didn't your parents use the space-breaking spell to leave? Shi Qianghua had never thought about these issues. Now that Ning Cheng asked about it, she replied in doubt. I really don't know about these things. Show me that space-breaking spell. Ning Cheng turned dignified. If the jade strip left behind by Uncle Yu was true, then if Shi Qianghua wanted to find her parents, then Ning Cheng would not be able to stop her. However, this matter was clearly a little strange. He had no choice but to be more cautious. Shi Qianghua had complete trust in Ning Cheng. As such, she did not hesitate to take out a talisman and place it in Ning Cheng's hands. Ning Cheng was a Tier 5 talisman grandmaster, although he was not qualified to refine void-cleaving talismans, but it did not mean that he could not see the problem with this talisman. Just like some appraisers, they couldn't draw a famous painting, but they could tell whether it was a famous painting or not. Seeing Ning Cheng holding the void-cleaving talisman in his hands, Shi Qianghua asked with some worry, Husband, this void-cleaving talisman. Ning Cheng put the void-cleaving talisman in Shi Qianghua's hands and spoke. Qianghua, this void-cleaving talisman contains strong spatial fluctuations. I guess that there is no problem with the talisman itself, or rather, I can't see any problem with it. Although he said that, Ning Cheng had a strange feeling that there was something wrong with Uncle Yu's words, but as to what the problem was he did not know. Shi Qianghua sighed and spoke. Without Uncle Yu, I would have died a long time ago. Uncle Yu is just like my grandfather, he would not harm me. Moreover, this talisman also has a trace of Uncle Yu's spiritual sense aura. I can feel that the jade strip was definitely left behind by Uncle Yu. Seeing Ning Cheng remain silent, Shi Qianghua suddenly took the initiative to hug Ning Cheng in her arms. She felt that she and Ning Cheng were newlyweds. If she left Ning Cheng like this, then she would feel sorry for her husband. Ning Cheng could feel the temperature of Shi Qianghua's tender body rising. He knew that Shi Qianghua must go back. Otherwise, even if she was with him, she would not be happy. Ning Cheng hugged Shi Qianghua tightly, took out a rusty copper coin and handed it to her and spoke. Qianghua, I can see that you do not have any special treasures. This is my 5 elements treasure fall copper coin. I will give it to you. Shi Qianghua quickly pushed it back and spoke. My cultivation is higher than yours. You can keep it for yourself. I do not need it. Ning Cheng gave a smile and spoke. I have a lot of things. It's not like you don't know about it. I also have the Thunder City, and I just obtained Qili's banner. This banner is also a good thing. But for me, this copper coin is still a bit difficult to use. If not for the fact that Ning Cheng could not take out the everlasting Blue Thunder City, he would have wanted to give the everlasting Blue Thunder City to Shi Qianghua. However, he also knew that even if he gave the everlasting Blue Thunder City to Shi Qianghua would not want it. Since that was the case, he might as well give the Treasure Fall copper coin to Shi Qianghua. Seeing that Shi Qianghua still wanted to decline, Ning Cheng tightened his grip and spoke. If you push it again, I will not allow you to leave. Shi Qianghua's eyes turned slightly red. She knew what grade of treasure Ning Cheng's 5 elements Treasure Fall copper coin was. If she had the 5 elements Treasure Fall copper coin, then her strength would definitely rise to a whole new level. Ning Cheng did not even think about giving such a treasure to her. It showed that Ning Cheng really cared about her. She did not push it again. She just stuck close to Ning Cheng and covered Ning Cheng's mouth with her own. This was the first time that she had taken the initiative. Before, Ning Cheng had always taken the initiative. Ning Cheng instantly lost himself in this kind of fiery tenderness. He did not even remember if he was the one who carried Shi Qianghua to the bed, or if Shi Qianghua was the one who carried him to the bed. Shi Qianghua carefully sat up from Ning Cheng's side. She lowered her head and kissed Ning Cheng's face over and over again. She was not willing to leave Ning Cheng from the bottom of her heart. Because of this, she wanted Ning Cheng to fall asleep. Otherwise, she would not be able to make up her mind to leave Ning Cheng. Every moment that she spent with Ning Cheng made her feel satisfied. In her heart, no one could replace Ning Cheng. However, her parents were in trouble. If she did not go back, she would never be able to feel at ease. She made up her mind, as long as her parents were safe, she would come back first and accompany Ning Cheng forever. She liked this kind of peaceful days, and liked the pleasant feeling of being together with Ning Cheng. After Ning Cheng woke up, he did not move from his bed. Shi Qianghua's fragrance still lingered at his side, and there was a trace of bitterness and saltiness at the corners of his mouth. It was Shi Qianghua's tears. Even that soft feeling still lingered in the palm of his hand, but Shi Qianghua was no longer there. Before Shi Qianghua let him fall asleep, Ning Cheng knew that he did not resist. If he was sober, then he feared that he would have changed his mind and not let Shi Qianghua go. He understood Shi Qianghua. If he was replaced by Shi Qianghua, and his parents were in trouble, he would also have gone there. Of the several 100 million spirit stones, Shi Qianghua only took away about 10 million. Ning Cheng guessed that Shi Qianghua had taken them away to activate the void-cleaving talisman. The void-cleaving talisman was different from ordinary talismans. To activate it, one would need a lot of spiritual qi. With Shi Qianghua gone, Ning Cheng suddenly felt his whole body empty. Before, without Shi Qianghua, he had a very good life. But now, he was completely unable to adapt to the days without Shi Qianghua. After a long time, Ning Cheng finally sat up. He found that he had forgotten to ask Shi Qianghua about one thing. Uncle Yu had mentioned in the jade strip that he had used the natural magnetic trigram to calculate the position of Shi Qianghua's parents. What was this natural magnetic trigram? Moreover, what kind of heaven-defying Uncle Yu was? How could his calculations be so powerful? Although he knew that Shi Qianghua could also calculate, but wasn't this calculation a bit too much? He also suddenly remembered something. That Uncle Yu and Shi Qianghua's parents had teared apart the space, so why did they not let Shi Qianghua's mother escape with Shi Qianghua, and instead let Uncle Yu escape with Shi Qianghua? Ning Cheng had countless questions, but he did not have any answers. He could only wait for Shi Qianghua to come back, and at the same time decided to cultivate in this place. Whether it was cultivation or body forging, it was an excellent place. After Ning Cheng cultivated in this place, he came to know why Shi Qianghua's cultivation speed was so fast. The spiritual qi in this place was much richer than in the small spiritual domain. Moreover, it did not contain even half a shred of yang qi poison. Shi Qianghua had an inheritance, coupled with the rich spiritual qi in this place. It would be strange if her cultivation speed was not fast. The rapid absorption of spiritual qi and the rapid progress made Ning Cheng forget about body forging, as he wholeheartedly immersed himself in this pleasant cultivation. 2 months later, Ning Cheng broke through from the Soul Essence 3rd level and advanced to the Soul Essence 4th level. 4 months later, Ningqing advanced to the Soul Essence 5th level. At this time Ningcheng's cultivation speed slowed down. But Ningcheng was not willing to stop. He took out the broken crystal stone and continued to crazily cultivate. The spiritual qi in this place was already very rich, and Ningcheng also took out the abnormal crystal stone, allowing his cultivation speed to once again increase. 2 months later, Ningcheng broke through from the Soul Essence 6th level and advanced to the Soul Essence 7th level. Feeling that after using the broken crystal stone, the mysterious yellow origin aura flowed even more smoothly, Ningcheng immediately thought of the mysterious yellow bead. Entering the mysterious yellow bead in this place should not be known by anyone. As such, he did not think much about it, and immediately entered the mysterious yellow bead. This was the first time that Ningcheng had entered the mysterious yellow bead in a real sense. Inside the mysterious yellow bead, in addition to the yellow misty scenery, there was also a layer of water vapor. There was nothing inside. Some of the things that he had thrown in before had also disappeared without a trace. Ningcheng's spiritual consciousness swept out, only to find a huge mass of yellow light suspended in the middle of the room. Ningcheng quickly came out of the mysterious yellow bead in fright. This kind of mysterious yellow aura, once it leaked out, it would not be a good thing. According to the skeleton, his mysterious yellow bead was an origin treasure. If he wanted to turn it into a real independent world, then he would need to collect the 5 most basic origins. There were countless origins under the heavens, but the most basic origins were obviously the 5 element origins. Now that he had found the water origin, he only needed to continue looking for the other 4 origins. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.